Good morning. It's 6:02 from the 104.5 The Zone Studios. I'm Justin Hawkins. The 2025 NFL Draft is officially behind us, and the Tennessee Titans have a new rookie class led by first overall pick Miami quarterback Cameron Ward. The Titans made 6 selections in rounds 2 through 7 Friday and Saturday. Starting in round 2, they traded out of pick 35 with the Seattle Seahawks for pick 52 in the second and 82 in the third. With those picks, the Titans selected UCLA edge Oluwafemi Oladejo with pick 52 and Penn State safety Kevin Winston Jr. with pick 82. And in the fourth round, the Titans drafted 3 players: Florida wide receiver Chimere Dike, Texas tight end Gunnar Helm, and also Stanford wide receiver Alec Iomanner, after the Titans traded up 5 spots with the Ravens, giving up 1 fifth-round pick as well as a late fifth-round pick swap to select him. And to the 5th round, the Titans selected Sacramento State guard Jackson Slater. And finally, in the 6th round, the Titans had selected Cal cornerback Marcus Harris and Michigan running back Khalil Mullings. Then, immediately following the draft, the Titans got to work signing at least a reported 13 undrafted free agent signings, including Cam Ward's teammate and wide receiver at Miami, Xavier Restrepo, who they now get to reunite in the two-tone blue. And another Nashville news: Saturday night, Nashville SC had their best American football impression as they score a touchdown, tacking on the extra point as well, earning 3 points in a 7-2 win over the Chicago Fire at Geodis Park. The win comes thanks to 4 Sam Surridge goals, as well as 2 goals from Hani Mukhtar. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, you've got to go to USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Monday morning with lots to discuss on RKW as a brand new week begins and a brand new class of rookie Tennessee Titans are officially a member of this organization, and we break it down with you at 615-737-1045, streaming the show live at 1045 The Zone TV, Facebook Live, YouTube, Twitter, or Twitch. We had the second day trade back we thought might happen. You got a safety out of it. We'll react to all of that as well. Shedeur Sanders slid. Everyone on the internet has an opinion about it. So I guess that means we got to have an opinion about it as well. Coming up this morning. And wide receivers. You got 2 of them. You doubled up. 615-737-1045 on Monday, April the 28th. Full crew in studio. Good morning. How are we doing?
Hey, we're good.
Good weekend.
It was. I just want to say personally, it's over with.
Yeah.
Okay? I don't know how y'all feel.
Yeah.
But I feel,
now we just know who's here. Talk about
that
'em.
and Shedeur's out the way.
Draft
Exactly.
propaganda is over.
Right.
Yeah, well,
We
it's
get
a
real
wrap.
football
stuff.
from these guys pretty soon.
I don't even want to discuss, and I know we will, and I'm okay with it, but I just want to say the way too soon for 2026, not there yet, okay? I'm not there yet, but I'm glad it's over with, and congratulations to all the players that got drafted, especially here.
So it's just way too soon. 2026 draft class. What you're talking about.
Yeah.
For those unfamiliar.
Let's just
Oh,
get through
yeah,
this
I should have
season.
finished it up right there. But, yeah, legitimately.
Here's your way too
It's
early top 50 prospects for 2026.
I almost feel like somebody got
Why
one.
Arch Manning
I
is
know.
the best quarterback
Probably.
prospect in 10 years.
Yeah, I bet you
Next,
there
go.
will be.
First take.
There'll be stuff out for sure.
Can't
But
wait
let's
to
just
get
get
into
through
it.
this, at least training camp.
We
you know?
made it, though, 100%, Kayla. Golly, we made it, though.
Yeah.
Here we are.
And lots of I mean, it's been different from, covering drafts in the past, not only because you have the number 1 overall pick, but they had a lot of picks and
Yeah.
did some wheeling and dealing along the way in terms of Friday and Saturday. And looks like they ended up with a pretty nice draft class. I know we'll share our opinions. I've got some mixed reviews, but overall, I think it looks pretty good.
All right. I thought for the most part, man, a quick synopsis of it, I guess, pretty solid is the way I looked at it. I'm not sure what we're doing. Grades, probably do grades. I saw people doing grades.
I'm anti-grades in April, right after the draft.
Jimmy White had a long list of everybody else's grades, and it seemed to be good from everybody for the most part. It did. But they did exactly what they said they were going to do. They wanted as many picks as they possibly could get, and you got 9. Big old class, man.
Big class.
Real class.
Yeah. Learn some names, folks, because I'll tell you what, too. Not only is it a big class, but the names, got to practice them a couple times. Good job, Justin, on the sports update
Just call
there.
him Femi.
Femi.
Yeah.
Femi Oladeja.
I got word the night at the Titans facility he wanted to go by his entire name, Oluwafemi.
Okay, well,
did he?
Look, no. But it seems because Cameron came out and said, no, Cam is cool.
Yeah,
Sure.
you said Cam.
Yeah.
He
was
did
like,
say
we can
Cam
go
is
with
cool. So I heard Borgonzi call him Femi the other night, but we were just like, we had heard when we were broadcasting the show, he wanted to be known by his entire names. Again,
Oluwafemi.
Olawafemi, I can do it. It just, I mean, hey, it is.
We'll ask him if we ever get him on the show. Like all these guys, it's so funny. They'll say, "Oh yeah, call me by this," and I just am like, I'll just ask him in person.
Yeah,
And
no
if,
doubt.
If they say yes, then fine.
Just call me something is what most people will tell you anyway, man. But all in all, solid weekend, man. How was yours, Will? I didn't get a chance to hear the broadcast.
That's okay. You were a little busy.
A little bit. Had a baseball game on at that time, though, too. But how was it, man, in Pennsylvania? You get your cheesesteak.
I did get a cheesesteak. Went to Del Rossi's in middle of downtown Pennsylvania, or Philadelphia, which I guess is Pennsylvania, of course, too. It was very good. Yeah.
Did you do the...
People don't want to hear about my escapades.
Absolutely want to hear about it, dog.
Were you watching? Like, were you paying attention to the draft too?
No.
Okay.
No.
I didn't know if you
Not even a
you
little
had
bit.
anything on the side or.
My brother was texting me updates mid-broadcast,
Okay.
but I mean,
Southwest.
we went on at 1:30 Eastern, so they'd already taken Gunnar Helm, and they took Gunnar Helm as we were practicing our open.
Oh, nice.
And then we also we'd already taken DK at that point,
Yep.
so a lot of studying yesterday, a lot of rewatching the Nashville SC game, 7-2 win over Chicago Fire. Made the extra point over the weekend as well. So a lot of catch up done yesterday, but we're ready to go.
Man, I'll tell y'all what. I got so many morning roasts today.
Yeah, I think I do too, actually.
I haven't even had time to
There's
think.
plenty to
Listen.
go around. I think we're probably all going to have the same ones.
Listen, I'll toss you a couple if you need them, Kayla, because I was just
You were
straight right
loading
there.
up.
Oh, my gosh. I want to throw a free one out there right now because it ticked me off. This happened inside my house. Not the kids, not anybody. I'll wait. No,
Not
screw
Zeus.
it.
Save it.
Save it.
9:20 this morning for the Monday roast.
I'm talking about live it.
I mean, we could just play all of Bill Belichick's interview on CBS, and that's pretty much just one long Monday roast
Is he
from
trapped?
over the weekend.
Is
He may be held at UNC against his will by his girlfriend, and maybe might just want to get a grad degree or something at the University of North Carolina.
She already was on a roast once.
Oh, she was.
No, it got a lot worse over the
It
weekend.
did get a lot worse.
over the weekend.
Cringy,
Yeah, it's
dog.
Yikes.
All right, we'll save it. We will save
Got a
it
big
then,
segment of
man.
that then.
Do that at 9:20 this morning. Stoney Keeley joins us at 7:20. Our final draft visit with him, reviewing the Titans draft class. Let's start with what happened though on Friday. Good value on the trade and good decision with Oluwafemi Oladeja.
Good value. I would say this. With what they needed, yes. I know the knock can be, well, he's the more developmental, rotational guy. Guess what? You need those. You absolutely need those types of guys, too. And this is a team that needed to stock up younger talent. You needed to, all intents and purposes, Callahan's the coach for the foreseeable future. Get in a group of guys that he's able to coach up that's his style and that his coaches want to coach up too. So I'm going to go yes initially, Will. It's hard to say, oh, no, it wasn't great value because, again, there's so much of a need here. You had to, to give up a little bit to get more, and that's essentially what I thought they did.
Yeah, I actually was not mad at that at all. I thought that, I know Luther Burden was on the board, but we had already heard the kind of whispers that they weren't going to take him. And honestly, this is their draft class. They're making a point. They want certain guys in that room. And I'll tell you one thing. Every single guy they drafted, there was a character, similarity between these guys. Yes.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to sit here and bash Luther Burden because I don't know him personally. But if they felt any way, before the draft in terms of what the character was, they weren't going to go there. And they showed they didn't. So the next best thing that, I'm glad they did was trade down because they did get, a third round pick out of it. And then it goes with Femi Oladipo. Look, I like the pick. I know it's more of a developmental pick into the true edge position, but I do feel like he's familiar with Denard Wilson's defense at UCLA. He has the work ethic to get to that point, and they saw enough in him to do that. And that's another thing that Mike Borgonzi preached this weekend was these are guys that, yes, some of them are developmental, but we want these guys for that reason.
Yep, 100%. By the way, too, just on the other side, before we go to break in a little bit, everybody was posting the former 5 stars that didn't get drafted and everything. That was super unique this past weekend. Some guys do peak in high school, and I laugh at those dudes. No, but seriously, you never know how your journey's gonna end, man. I've heard that from time to time from coaches that recruit those guys. Like, yeah, that 5-star, he's 5'11", runs a 4.5 right now. Best he's ever gonna get.
Yeah.
It's weird how it goes sometimes.
Well, at the same time, Chris Hummer put this out over the weekend, said the NFL draft first-round picks, 11 of them were 5 stars, 15 of them were 4 stars, 4 of them 3 stars, 2 of them not ranked. So blue-chip recruits did still account for 81% of players drafted in the first round, according to 247 Sports.
Yeah, that's huge.
Stars do still matter, but they're not totally insurmountable.
Hey, Don, I saw a lineman, I think he was out of Colorado, if I'm not mistaken, that was a 5-star that transferred there. It's pretty wild how it all shakes out in the end.
615-737-1045. We'll give you Dane Brugler's athletic breakdown of every Titans prospect, what scouts anonymously said about some of these guys leading up in the process, and Bob McGinn's series at golongtd.com. Everything you need to know about the newest Tennessee Titans. That's next.
Is your concrete in need of repair? Maybe your sidewalk is shifting, your driveway is cracked and sinking, or your porch steps, maybe they've moved on you. Shifting concrete can create a dangerous situation and trip hazard around your home. It's also just a big eyesore. It's Ramon Foster, and whatever's going on with your concrete, call United Structural Systems. Ask them about the polyurethane foam injections because you've heard about USS for a long time, too. It's the same company that's provided superior foundation repair and waterproof in the Middle Tennessee since 1994. Well, they can also fix your sunken or settling concrete. USS uses polyurethane foam injection to lift and repair sinking concrete in a matter of minutes. Lifted concrete can be walked on immediately or even driven on after 30 minutes. So don't go through the long, expensive process of ripping out and replacing concrete. Reach out to the people I trust. You can go to USSTN.com. That's USSTN.com, or call them at 615-488-7855. United Structural Systems.
The Tennessee Titans have a draft class, and we have got all the breakdown that you need. Right here on RKW, we are brewed by Scooters Coffee with locations at White House, Mount Juliet, Rivergate, Smyrna, and Brentwood. Download the Scooters Coffee mobile app today to order ahead and save $2 off your first mobile order. So I'm going to give you the Dane Brugler athletic breakdown on each Titans draft pick, height, weights, and where they were ranked on the consensus big board, which is a website and big board that compiles everyone's big boards and puts it all in one place. All the media big boards that we have publicly. So let's begin, guys, with Oluwafemi Oladejo at 6'2", 261 out of outside linebacker in UCLA. 57th on the consensus big board. The Titans took him 52nd. 2-year starter, moved to a stand-up edge rusher role, mostly in a 2-point stance after playing Mike linebacker for 2 seasons at Cal and his first year at UCLA at 255 pounds. Transitioned into his new position 3 games into last season, initially just for 1 game, but it turned into a permanent move. Losing the green dot allowed him to do less thinking and more attacking. The Athletics' Dane Brugler writes that he led the Bruins in tackles for loss with 13.5, in sacks with 4.5 in 2024. Guys, what do you like about Femi Oladejo and his skill set in this Titans defense?
More than anything, his ability to float, be a weapon. If Denard Wilson wants to use him that way, will. Again, his ability to rush the passer is something that's got to be good. And here's the other part of it, too. Needs not to stress it. However you got to the quarterback in college, you need to do those exact same things so you have time to refine yourself. Got a little bit of length on him, man, more than anything. And, again, I like the flexibility of off-ball, on-ball. And then the other part, too, from my understanding, he understands Denard Wilson's defense for the most part right now. From coming out of UCLA. So on the surface level, seems to be a rotational piece type of guy with where they drafted him at. He should be, and also his understanding of what Denard wants from his defense, I think can be very advantageous for a guy like him.
Yeah, I think the fit, for me, it definitely helped out that he is familiar with Denard Wilson's defense, because coming in, you're going to have to just hit the ground running. And when Mike Borgonzi spoke about him after he was selected that day, he just said simply he can set the edge, he's physical, and he's violent. They like the violence that he plays with, which fits, again, the Denard Wilson type of defense. I understand where fans were a little bit confused, though, that you're not just going out there and drafting like a guy who's played that edge position for the last 3 seasons, right?
Yeah.
Because right now, it does look like they have more versatile pieces in that spot than they do just primarily an edge. But I think they feel confident that he can continue to get to that spot where he's going to be able to be a better pass rusher when it's all said and done.
Not overly twitchy or quick off the ball like that, but just continues to bulldoze up the field. Is the way you see a guy like
Physical,
him.
yeah, absolutely.
There was a run on edge rushers in that second round. Before the Titans got on the clock, you had a number of them go right in front of you. Donovan Ezeraku went 44th to the Cowboys. JT Tuimoloau of Ohio State went 45th to the Colts. And then Nick Scorton of Texas A&M goes 51st to the Carolina Panthers. So there was a run on edge rushers. You got a part of it. Fine. It wasn't my favorite pick. But again, like, first of all, Mike Borgonzi earns the benefit of the doubt the first time around. And I can't tell you who would have been a much better edge rusher, because honestly, the next one to go was Mike Green at 59. I don't know what they know about him behind closed doors off field with some of his past. And then Landon Jackson, who I think a lot of people had slotted to maybe be a pick for the Titans in that range, didn't go till pick 72.
Right.
So again, we are operating in a process where we do not have all of the information that they have. He gets the benefit of the doubt, fine. Works for me. I mean, if Oluwafemi Oladejo hits, he's got a chance to be a pretty special player. What I like about him is the run-stopping ability as well. And for a defense last year that took a step back against the run, he is going to help set the edge in a lot of ways as someone with run-stopping capabilities. That's not just a speedy guy around the edge that only gets after the quarterback.
Yeah.
So I like that aspect of it a lot. 57th, like I mentioned, on the consensus big board. Mel Kiper loved him. Said a volatile player. I guess maybe he took 2 seconds not talking about Shedeur Sanders to talk about someone else.
Amazing.
Says you talk about a guy who gets after it, really attacks and has that versatility, played inside and outside. Mel Kiper says, I think Oladejo is a borderline first-round pick. Says, I had him in the late first in one of the mocks. I like this kid a lot. He is going to be underrated, undervalued, and will turn out to maybe be a steal. Love it. All right?
Yeah.
Fair enough.
I'll give him a chance. That's for sure.
Pick 82 was Kevin Winston Jr., a safety out of Ohio State at 6'2", 213. The Athletics number 4 safety on the board. He was 69th on the consensus big board. So Titans get value here with a third-round pick based on the trade they made to move back and pick up a third from Seattle. A pick or a trade, by the way, where they earned 10 points on the Jimmy Johnson trade chart. So a little bit of value in your favor in that trade. Dan Brugler writes, a one-year starter at Penn State. He was the boundary safety in former Nittany Lions defensive coordinator Tom Allen's 4-2-5 scheme. Allen, of course, now with Clemson. He became a starter as a sophomore, put himself on the NFL map before a knee injury wiped out his 2024 season, which complicates his draft evaluation. This guy is a good run defender. And Dane Brugler says he is quick to trigger, deliver pop at contact, and stay balanced in his finishing technique to avoid misses. His coverage reads are inconsistent from depth, but he offers man cover skills versus tight ends and big slots. Is still green in the way he diagnoses play development, but the tools are there for him to eventually become a quality NFL starter if he is given a specific role and allowed to grow into the scheme. A team captain, another high football IQ, high character guy from Penn State, just coming off a knee injury.
I really like this pick.
I do too.
I really like this pick. Go look at his tape. There's zero hesitation in everything that he's doing. His cover skill, okay, he probably get worked by somebody like Tyreek Hill or, one of those quick scat guys. But as far as tight ends, coverage down the field, does not, I'm talking about getting nervous at the point of the football at all from what I've seen from him. And the other part about him, too, is you got to watch the back end of the defense and also where the linebackers are because he's up there with the linebackers often. He is not afraid to put his face in the fan. And as Will just read the description a second ago, again, he is matter of fact when he's bringing you down. Open field tackles, it seems to be good with what he's doing also. But again, Will, you bring up the run stopping side of things that the Titans lacked last year. This guy helps with that. He is a willing participant about, hey, everybody's got something dirty about his job, and he enjoys physicality from what I've seen. Penn State DB sometimes can be very handsy at times. Again,
in this defense, that's what
okay
we want.
with what they, yeah.
Yeah, so it's going to be fascinating to see how quick he get up to speed and how the knee recovers too. And again, I know initially I was thinking, Titans drafted a injured guy, but again, he hasn't had a history of it like that. You get him healthy back on the field. I really like this pick though.
Yeah, at first I definitely scratched my head because I didn't, know as much about Kevin Winston Jr. Leading up to the draft. We do so many breakdowns. This was one that I hadn't completely dove right into. And a big reason because he was injured and he spent all last year on the sideline. Literally on the sideline, though, was the biggest leader for his group. And talked about that a lot. He is, again, he fits the tough mentality, the kind of the way he plays in terms of physicality. And we talked to him a lot after he was drafted about that ACL on his right knee. Mm-hmm. And he said he's right now right along with recovery. It's right on the timeline. He'll probably return during training camp. I think you have to have a little patience with this, guys, Titans fans. If you want to see him develop, it's gonna become a thing where I think he could be a starter. I think it's gonna be a little bit slow going this year, though, coming off that ACL and having to learn things. But I think he could eventually be a really big piece for this Titans secondary in the future.
I think there's a lot of value here, and we had talked about him as being one of the good box safeties and run-stopping safeties in this draft, which honestly is one of the biggest things I wanted out of this draft was a safety that could hit.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. A safety that could tackle, because those safeties that the Titans brought in after Quandre Diggs got hurt last season did not. You did not have any. You did not have enough capable and willing run defenders in your secondary and second and third levels last season, and that showed up in a big way against Washington. Showed up in a big way in the loss to Indy on the road. So for that, I really do like it. Bob McGinn's series at GoLongTD.com, Scouts anonymously talking about him before the draft, really liked him. Returned to form March 28th. He ran a 40 at the Pro Day.
Right.
Like this was not a situation where he's not even going to be available for camp. Like, I'd imagine he's going to practice at training camp.
He's still
or
going
around it.
He said he's still going through rehab, but yeah, I mean, to be able to run a 40.
That's a big step. Right
One
there.
scout says he's super talented. The problem is he didn't play this year. Basically played in one game and plays 14 plays in a second game. He's tall, long, and really athletic. He can run, got great cover skills for a guy that's long and lean. He's got no problem hitting. He's a little bit out of control and needs some strength as a tackler. Started 13 games in 2023, third-year junior with 15 starts in 28 games. Very raw. That's my analysis, not theirs. A second scout says, I would think he goes in the second round. He was seen as a good player. Of course, I don't have any knowledge. He's going to be ready for camp. But just putting connecting the dots together, right? Like already doing pro day workouts, already doing off-field stuff. And a guy at age, 20 or 21 coming off an ACL is a little bit different than somebody 26, 27, 28 even coming off an ACL in 2025. 10 years ago, we're having a different conversation. But that is a position where he can afford to marinate a little bit because the Titans have Xavier Woods and Amani Hooker. They've got a little bit of experience coming back in that room. This is what you want to have with your third-round picks. A guy that in year one can be a rotational player, and by year 2 or 3 can be a starter.
And special teams, too, is a big part of his game also.
Right.
That's where he should cut his teeth at.
A lot of these guys that they had, but below the third round, you can see them as special teamers. That's what we have to remember, too, guys. We've talked a lot about Chad Brinker's style up in Green Bay, Mike Borgonzi's style in Kansas City. If you go through a list of these guys when they were drafted, there weren't always these names that you remember or, these were the big names during the draft. Yeah. There were a lot of guys sometimes where you were like, well, who's that? Let me go do my research. And then they do develop over the next couple of years.
Did the Titans make a mistake not going receiver in any capacity on day 2? Or are you cool with these picks?
I'm fine.
I'm actually all right with these picks. I'll be quite honest with you. With what they needed throughout the core of this draft, and I thought the value of those dudes too, the first 3, I'm okay with it, Will, more than anything. Yeah. Again, trying to figure out Oluwafemi Oladejo, what he's going to turn into. Again, he's a heavier body, feel like rusher more than anything. And again, that's what the defense needed. I thought they needed those 2 picks in the second and third defensively.
I think I'm more okay with it because they ended up getting Elika Ayumanor later on, which I didn't think he'd be there, and I thought they would take him with the first wide receiver pick that they had, but they ended up getting him. So,
and they went offensive after that too. And by the way, I think he said Ayumanor is what it is.
Ayumanor is correct.
Yeah,
Alec Ayumanor.
Yep, Ayumanor, Canadian, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, he's from Medicine Hat, right up the road from us.
Medicine Hat is the name of this place.
I've never in my life heard
of
Medicine Hat.
Yeah, my brother played hockey up there a lot.
Oh, all right then, Medicine Hat out of Canada.
Small little place.
All right.
Yeah.
Again, Mike Borgonzi earns the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah.
I would have used the 52nd pick on a receiver. Just me. Just one person's opinion. I do not get overly worked up either way about day 2 or 3 draft picks because these guys are moldable. It's why you have coaches.
Right.
These are all potential prospects. They are all guys that might not step in right away, but are going to play some kind of role. And again, we are working in a process where we don't have all the details. Here's my concern. You are expecting a lot of value out of bargain wide receiver prices again. And we saw this a couple of years ago when the Titans drafted Des Fitzpatrick and wanted him to become something that he wasn't. We've seen this over and over where the Titans try to get day 3 value out of wide receivers. Jaquan Jackson, we're still waiting on something other than fumbles from. I mean, Colton Dowell was the solution a couple of years ago, and no disrespect to him, but he's a 7th-round pick. Yeah. I would have rather overcorrected a little bit more to help Cam Ward. But Mike Borgonzi is following through on exactly what he said he was going to do. Let the board speak to them. And Trey Harris and Jack Besh were right there in the 3rd round or in the 2nd round when they took Oluwafemi Oladejo. He's got major traits. If he hits, then all this will be a moot point. All of this will be totally irrelevant, and it's worth it. At that point, at pick 52, to me, though, I would have rather gone receiver, at least with one of those 2 picks on day 2. That's the only criticism I have of this draft. Criticism I have. I
look at the wide receivers and tight end that they did take, though, and I said this about their styles more than anything. They fit what I feel like they want a Cam Ward's offense to look like, though. I felt like they drafted for what the system is going to do according to Cam Ward's talent, is the way I see this. These guys are side to side. They can get down the sideline for you for the most part, but they are a pitching type, I feel like, wide receiver skill class that they've got in right now for Cam Ward in this offense. Nothing about this group says, yeah, they're killing you in the route run. What they are find the zone type of guys.
Let's then transition to pick 103, shall we?
All right. Yeah.
Perfect transition to Chimray DK. Wide receiver out of Florida at 6'1", 196. The Athletics number 18 wide receiver. He was number 224 on the consensus big board, was picked 103. A little bit of a reach, according to the consensus big board, at least what we have publicly from draft experts. 1-year starter at Florida, a longtime Wisconsin Badger. His childhood team lived out his childhood dream playing for the Badgers. But made a business decision, as Dane Brugler writes in The Athletic, by joining the Gators in 2024. He worked inside on 59.3% of snaps and outside 39.9%. An offensive coordinator Rob Sale's scheme, with speed described best as easy. DK accelerates on command to attack defenders at the stem or motor away from trail coverage, Dane Brugler writes. To fully weaponize that speed, he needs to improve his route pacing and stride manipulation. Don't really know what that means. To detach himself from coverage, he also needs to rely on his gear change to maximize yak opportunities. Overall, he has somewhat of a confused identity, Dane Brugler says, as a receiver. He is more than just a field stretcher, but he also must develop better nuance in his routes and at the catch point to become more reliable as a separator or possession target. There is something here, and his special teams impact, ding, 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 as a returner or gunner should lengthen the leash as NFL coaching attempts to maximize his talent. Here's your deep threat. Here's your field stretcher for Cam Ward.
Yeah, I was a little shocked. I thought they could have gotten him later, honestly. I like DK. I think he'll be a speed asset, and he ran the third fastest 40-yard dash out of wide receivers at the combine. He was speaking to us about the versatility that he brings.
Yeah.
He did also play with, quarterbacks in Wisconsin and in Florida. He's got kind of some ability to change with that as well, but he thinks the versatility is the biggest thing for him, saying that he played the X slot and Z, so he can bring that to the table. I was just kind of shocked with why they got him there. And then again, they have a plan to this all. He knows Cam Ward in terms of playing against him 2 times at Wisconsin when Cam was at Washington State. And then obviously last year he played against Cam in terms of Florida playing Miami. So a little familiarity with the.
Well, that's reason to draft him, but
I'm just giving
not a bad thing.
I'm just giving some background. That's all.
Yeah, no doubt. Look, every time you look at this tape, though, when he has the ball in his hand, he's moving away from people. His ability to run those, as Coach Matt called them, those transcontinental routes, that ability to drag underneath an offense or defense and find the open zone is what he's huge at. And then he's also a catch and run type of guy. It's funny you gave that breakdown right there because you don't see him running, breaking a guy down, or doing those types of things. His ability to separate is because his speed and feel, I feel like, for finding his way through defenses more than anything. For what Cam Ward does, this makes sense to have a wide receiver like him. Whether they reach for him or not, his ability to put up numbers, and he has a lot of, he's got a good bit of receptions throughout his college career, too.
Played a lot.
Never was the number 1 guy, but also look at the role that he's going to end up playing. Probably 3, right, is what you probably expect a guy like him.
Yeah, I think between him and Alec Iomanner, you've got 2 guys with a little bit different skill sets that can help out your young quarterback. And I think on day 3 as well, you are drafting for fit and for traits.
Yeah.
And his athleticism, fits what you need. You need a field stretcher because Cam Ward can chuck it over the defense's head. But you need a guy with really good traits. And his relative athletic score is a 9.8. 38.5-inch vert, 10.8 broad at 6'1", 196, and 434 in the 40. We'll take that.
Okay. Yeah.
We'll take it.
What was crazy about a lot of these guys from the 3rd round down is when we were asking them, how much did you have contact with the Titans during the process?
Yeah.
And a lot of them were like, maybe once, but we didn't think that this was. It's just amazing how the process plays out sometimes. That's what Gunnar Helm said, too, is like, I didn't think at all the Titans would draft me.
615-737-1045. If you want to tell us your favorite pick the Titans made over the weekend, we will continue starting with Gunnar Helm and your other receiver you got, Alec Iomanner, coming up next.
Genesis Diamonds is your destination for the best Mother's Day gifts. All right, this year, get her something that is timeless, meaningful, special. Genesis has put together an incredible selection of Mother's Day gifts that are both affordable and stylish. Layered necklaces, stackable rings, eternity bands, colored gemstone pieces, heirloom quality jewelry, diamond bracelets, and earrings. These are pieces of jewelry she can wear anywhere from Target to the theater, all right? And she can enjoy them for years to come, too. Dinner out is nice. A thoughtful card is important, but if you really want to let mom know what she means to the family, bring her something home from Genesis Diamonds. How about a birthstone ring or something elegant from Tukori? Genesis Diamonds non-commissioned experts can help you pick out the perfect gift and stay in budget. Or if you really want to splurge, check out Genesis' amazing selection of ladies' pre-owned Rolex watches. So whether it's her first Mother's Day or her 60th, mom deserves a gift that's anything but ordinary. Go see my friends at Genesis Diamonds. Genesis Diamonds and luxury pre-owned Rolex. They're located in Green Hills and Cool Springs.
RKW on 104.5 The Zone is brewed by Scooter's Coffee, pick by pick for the Tennessee Titans. Alec Iomanner at pick 136 was a big wide receiver selection, but he was such a big deal, guys, that Gunnar Helm kind of went under the radar, didn't he? He did. Pick 120 out of Texas at 6'5", 241, the Athletics number 7 tight end. Value, again, 109 on the consensus big board. Dane Brugler, the Athletic, writes that he is a 2-year starter, versatile tight end, and Steve Sarkisian's RPO-style spread offense. Well, guess what? You might be running more this year. RPO-style stuff for your quarterback. 68% of his snaps in line, 22% in the slot with 9% wide. Value, guys, in terms of who he was sitting behind his first couple of years at Austin. Only 22 combined targets over his first 3 seasons, because he was behind Jatavian Sanders. Then he becomes the guy in 2024. Does a pretty good job. Did not run well. 4.84 in the 40, which was why he was available for you to pick at 120. Again, guys, I think this is a culture pick. This is a value pick, and someone who has played a lot of good football and practiced a lot of good football against some of those Texas linebackers, DBs, and safeties as well.
Man, I look at this pick as he's gonna, to me, is a stereotypical tight end, like legitimately. The 4.8 checks out to me because when you look at his players, look like defenses lose him. Like he's one of those types to me to where when you watch him, he's going sideways catching the ball. Look like to me, he doesn't get nervous with the ball in his vicinity, especially at his speed, right? He's probably trying to get the ball as quick as he can, but he's somewhat smooth for that size. He will be lumbersome over you as he's running.
You can see some of the runs.
Yeah, don't get in his way is what I look at more than anything with him. And looking at the types of tight ends that this group has, that the Titans have right now too, he satisfies a bigger body guy. I feel like you need to have a presence towards the goal line, towards that gotta have it moment more than anything. I don't look at Chig as a premier blocker. Neither do I look at Wiley that way either. I think he satisfies the duality of those two guys more than anything.
Yeah, I think with the blocking, something that he had been asked about in the draft process and something he takes a lot of pride in, and something he also says he can get better at when it comes to the blocking and being a little bit more, being able to have a little more strength in that category as well. But he does a really good job at it. You had mentioned the culture, Will, and I thought this was interesting when asked about this. He volunteered this information when he came in at 18 years old to Texas. It was a really not a great locker room. He called it a divided locker room, and he said, I was able to even come in there at 18, and I felt like with some of the people we had there, we created what became a culture there. And remember, he played with Tavondre Sweat as well. But this is a guy who I think brings, everything you want in a player. Like you said, not afraid to block, but can also be there as a touchdown guy for this team, but also brings the confidence and the leadership in the locker room. He actually trained here throughout the entire offseason with Jeremy Holt. He used to work with Kevin Byard down here, and I think still Amani Hooker at Lipscomb Academy. So
Bob again at golongtd.com. A scout says he is smart and has good hands as far as having dynamic speed, quickness, run after catch, or blocking as a Y. I don't see it. He's a Y stick guy, a possession Y. He can't block anybody without help. Areas to be worked on are his blocking and escaping press coverage. One scout says, my number 6 tight end, but I think he'll be a solid player. Won't be a star or anything. Kind of does everything okay. Not the most gifted athlete, but good enough. As a blocker, he'll get in the way and put his face in stuff. He can position and work. The hands are good. Cole Kmet, the comp for him. Maybe a little bit of a less high-end talent Cole Kmet type. So to me, a guy that comes in as tight end 2 and maybe has the upward mobility and potential to become a tight end 1 kind of guy. Alec Iomanner was picked 136 by the Titans. They traded up to go get him. Got incredible value from the Ravens, who I guess just were giving away picks late in this draft. I did not understand what they were doing, but we'll take it. 6'2", 206, wide receiver out of Stanford, the number 11 receiver on the board on Dane Brugler's The Beast draft guide at theathletic.com. 73rd of the consensus big board. And the Titans get Iomanner at 136 against Travis Hunter in Colorado. He set a Stanford school record with 294 receiving yards. 294. Pretty good.
I don't think people heard you right there.
294 receiving yards.
Him in that game.
Yeah.
Look, this is a guy who we mentioned the field stretching ability. This is your jump ball guy.
Yeah.
And one scout at Bob McGinn's draft series at golongtd.com says he reminds him a little bit of Devontae Adams. Says Devontae wasn't a polished product coming out of Fresno. This kid's a little bit bigger and tighter as an athlete than Devontae, but he's a very physical kid. Lack of technical polish, Stan Brugler says, but Iomander can be a challenging cover because of his size, toughness, and athletic traits.
That's what I was going to say. I don't even want to use like alpha dog to describe him. He will just get in your face.
4.44 in the 40.
Yeah, he one of them ones you want on your squad whenever you picking something was the draft. Like legitimate. We in the gym, you want him around, man. Is the way you look at him. Possession type of guy, man. It's good in his solid in his route running. Will's just ready. He needs to get better at it. But like combat catching, he's into that.
Yeah.
Being physical, he's into that. Run after catch, he's into that. Being able to win at the line of scrimmage, he's into that. Like he has a feel for being able to squeeze his body back and catch passes for you too. Again, one of those, you look on your offense and you say to yourself, who can create? To me, Alec Iomander is one of those guys that can create, man. I again, every pick seems to be good in the forefront of everything. This one makes sense to me, especially if you got him for that value, what the big board said.
You guys, kind of broke down the type of receiver he is, and he describes himself as a dynamic playmaker. He said, but my mind is my biggest asset. Like, this is a guy who is very smart, who I think is going to, again, put in the work you need him to put in to be that, year one weapon for Cam Ward, one of his weapons at least. And I'll be honest with you, he was shocked that he fell that far. And you have a guy, coming in. He even said it. He's going to have a chip on his shoulder.
Good.
Let me just tell you that much. And I think that is about as best as you can get.
Yep.
He also worked out over in Phoenix with Tetarola McMillan. I think Jalen Walker over there. So he's been, putting in all the work during this offseason. I'm excited to see this guy. Really like him.
So our former producer, Rupert, texts me. He's already listening. Says the Ravens wanted to take Vincent with their next pick, but had a 28-pick gap before their next pick, so they moved back 5 picks and got what they could. Baltimore did. He said he was also confused at first, and then they took Carson Vincent at pick 141. So there you go. Makes sense. More picks to get to. We will continue to break down the other day 3 picks, 3 more of them. Jackson Slater, the interior lineman out of Sac State. Marcus Harris, the corner out of Cal, and Kalel Mullings, the guy who took Donovan Edwards' running back job last year at Michigan.
Yeah.
Donovan Edwards was put on the video game cover, and Kalel Mullings was RB1 for the Wolverines. Don't let that pick go under the radar just because it was 188. There's some value there. And an interesting battle between him and Julius Chestnut that'll be unfolding at training camp. But a lot to like about some of the day 3 picks, I think, is the theme of all of this. Titans did a good job filling out the offense in day 3.
Yeah.
I'm still going to be a little critical of them not addressing offense on day 2, but it eased some of my concerns what they did on day 3 for a lot of reasons, because I think Iomander is that good a value, and when they got him at pick 136. Shedeur Sanders slid over the weekend. You probably heard about it. Everyone's got an opinion about it, and we will add our opinions to the conversation coming up next.
Good morning. It's 7:02 from the 104.5 The Zone Studios. I'm Justin Hawkins. The 2025 NFL Draft is officially behind us, and the Tennessee Titans have their new rookie class, led by first overall pick Miami quarterback Cam Ward. The Titans made 8 selections in between rounds 2 through 7 Friday and Saturday, starting in round 2 where they traded out of pick 35 with the Seattle Seahawks for pick 52 in the second and pick 82 in the third. The Titans selected UCLA edge Oluwafemi Oladejo with the 52nd pick and Penn State safety Kevin Winston Jr. with the 82nd pick. To the fourth round, the Titans selected 3 players. Florida wide receiver Chimere Dike, Texas tight end Gunnar Helm, and also Stanford wide receiver Alec Iomanner. After the Titans traded up 5 spots with the Ravens, giving up a 5th-round pick as well as a late 5th-round pick swap to select him. In the 5th round, the Titans selected Sacramento State guard Jackson Slater. And finally, in the 6th round, the Titans selected Cal cornerback Marcus Harris and Michigan running back Kalel Mullings. Then, immediately following the draft, the Titans got to work, signing at least a reported 13 undrafted free agent signings, including Cam Ward's former teammate and wide receiver at Miami, Xavier Restrepo, who now they get to reunite in the two-tone blue. In other Nashville news, Saturday night, Nashville SC gave their best American football impression, scoring a touchdown and tacking on the extra point as they earned the 3 points in a 7-2 win over the Chicago Fire at Geodis Park. The win comes thanks to 4 goals from Sam Surridge and 2 goals to Hani Mukhtar. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, you have to go to USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
RKW 104.5 The Zone, hour number 2 on this Monday. 615-737-1045. Our draft expert, Stoney Keeley, will join us coming up in 15 minutes if he's not totally burnt out and tired of talking into microphones. Because the Football and Other F Words megacast on Zone TV yesterday for literal hours in this building. Tremendous content for people who love the Tennessee Titans and love the NFL Draft. We'll get his full takes on everyone the Titans picked. We'll go rapid fire with Stoney coming up here in 15 minutes. Ramon Foster, Kayla Anderson, and Will Bowling with you. And we stream the show live at 104.5 The Zone TV, Facebook Live, YouTube, Twitter, or Twitch. Shedeur Sanders was a 5th-round pick. 5th-round pick to the Cleveland Browns. What do we make of this? Everyone has an opinion on it. What's yours?
What's mine is I look at this and say I don't think this slide was a product of Shedeur himself and just a product of keeping the main thing. The main thing is where I am on this one. This weekend, I scoured the internet for a bunch of pre-draft conversations that came around. I'm going to try to go as quick as I possibly can on this one because I do not think it's an indictment on Shedeur. I think it's an indictment on the pre-draft process that he went through that people were able to create a whole lot of narratives about. I'll go first thing first. It's Shedeur in the pre-draft with Kim and Cam Ward going against each other. Let's make a song. I play football. You ain't got no hobbies outside of football? Cam goes, that's what I want people to know me as, a football player. When they searching Cam Ward, I want them to say American football. Like, I felt like Cam versus Shedeur, Cam beat him publicly. And a lot of different things that Shedeur was very, very savvy with in those situations. It was a conversation about, hey, him and Cam went back and forth with each other about, hey, you going to get water already? And it was just the brashness of Shedeur. It's like, I'm going to get Gatorade. They paid me to drink Gatorade. And I think just like the optics of that, I'm not opposed to it whatsoever, but it wasn't just him more than anything. It was Deion. I legitimately think it was Deion. And I know a lot of people just saying it feels like there was a fix put in when it comes down to showing Deion that, look, this is our league. And I think that played a part in it, too. I do think that played a part in it. I can't necessarily say that, but the optics of it, I thought he was better than a 5th-round talent, personally. Second and third, somewhere in there, maybe, considering the guys that want to have, especially Dylan Gabriel. But real quick, too. But it was Deion Sanders on Keyshawn Johnson's show, Speak. And here's a quote from it, too. It goes, Sanders has boldly stated that he could go the route with Shedeur, speaking of like the Mannings. but not through the media, is what he said. Deion says this, yeah, but I'm not going to do it publicly. I'll do it privately. Deion admitted to the panel that included George Taylor, Paul Pierce, and Michael Irvin. Similarly to LeBron James, Sanders is not apologizing for having the ability to help navigate his boys through the NFL draft process with extra special care. I'm going to be a dad until the cows come home, and Travis as well, Deion insisted. There's quote after quote that we'll get into over the course of this next few days that Deion somewhat put a cloud, I feel like, over. Now, as a father, he's supposed to be able to try to curate as much as he possibly can through this process. But some of the stuff that he said was just, there's another one, December 18th on Pac-Man Show, his podcast. This is from Deion. Giants are not going to give up that pick. They're not going to give up that pick, he said. The Giants are not going to give up that pick. I know that for a fact. Pac-Man followed up by asking if the Giants have the number one pick, and they did at that time. He said Shedeur is going to be the number one pick. Mm-hmm. And then he had doubled down again. My point of it is this when it comes down to why Shedeur slid. I feel like if there was a play to be made on the anti-Deion Sanders, this is also a moment in time for Shedeur, the football player, to kind of separate himself a little bit. Because say what you want to, immediately we're looking for quotables after quotable that Deion Sanders is going to have to say about Shedeur. And mind you, again, when you're in a position like Shedeur is, in a sense, he's already got the optics of how he is too, which is unfair because a lot of players need to be able to be how they are. But the fact that you have a Hall of Fame dad that will maybe call and did in this pre-draft, there was a quarterback coach at some team in this pre-draft that said Shedeur was a bad interview. Right. And Deion calls the head coach of this NFL team and asks him, hey, who's the quarterback coach and why is he speaking ill of my son? Those types of things right there, I think, led to more of the Shedeur Sanders skid than he himself at all. The situation he's put in right now, you got 5 quarterbacks you got to battle out of. If you are that guy and you are more of a second-round pick than a fifth-round pick, opportunities there, young man.
Yeah, I think it was a perfect storm leading to a really bad situation for Shedeur Sanders. You had mentioned all those things, and I think it was a combination of his dad being Deion Sanders and some of the things that led up to, the draft and being involved in that. And part of it was, these teams, a couple of these teams you had mentioned didn't necessarily had the best interviews with him. But again, it's hard sometimes to differentiate confidence and cockiness. And I think he really, it's tough with him, especially because he's already associated with Deion, which it shouldn't be automatic, right? That you're just some cocky guy, but you haven't done anything yet at the next level. But that is Shedeur Sanders, right? Like you know what his personality is. And then that combined with maybe some teams thinking, that is he's not a fit in terms of the play. And I think that's the worst thing, though, because the play is better than Dillon Gabriel. Yeah. And that's why I have an issue with it, is because if the Cleveland Browns went ahead and took Dillon Gabriel above him and then went and eventually drafted Shedeur Sanders because, by golly, oh, man, there's value there now that he fell that far, that's to me a bad look on the Cleveland Browns. Because if you truly felt like he was a fit for your system and you're going and drafting him later, why not just draft him then?
So clean.
Right? I just thought that was embarrassing. And I thought Shedeur Sanders I think he's a better talent than 5th round. And we've talked about this all throughout the process of the draft. 1st round, okay, I could see it dropping, right? But if it goes beyond 3rd round and he's still sitting around, there's more to it than just he doesn't play good football.
So Tom McShay put out there on his podcast, The McShay Show, that Shedeur Sanders completely bombed his interview with the Giants. Said he did not have a great interview with Brian Daboll. The preparation wasn't there for an install package. Daboll called him out, and Sanders didn't like that. All it takes is one interview bombed for these guys to talk, because all these scouts are talking to each other. And Coach Mack mentioned it on Thursday last week when we talked with him. There are guys whose jobs in the draft room is to trade information, is to call and say, hey, we're hearing this. What do you have? I'll trade you what we're thinking for our day 3 or whatever else, if you give me what you guys are thinking. Of talking about prospects, talking about trades, all of these things. So the NFL scouting community is a very small world. If there's one interview that's a 0 out of 10 or a 10 out of 10, people are going to talk about it. For me, I'm going to draw a comparison of background or backup quarterbacks here. And this is not a political statement, nor is it a statement about either of these two guys. But it's Colin Kaepernick and Tim Tebow. That's what happened to Shedeur Sanders. If you are going to be slated as a backup quarterback, fair or unfair, it's the reality of the way the NFL works. Your job is to stay in the background a lot of times. Ramon's talked about this. Josh Dobbs keeps getting hired in the NFL because he is a great asset to his starting quarterback. And nobody in Section 305, respectfully, is going to be chanting for Josh Dobbs to come in the game when Drake May has a bad game. They're just not. You think people in Cleveland are going to be chanting, "We want Shedeur" the second somebody throws a pick for Cleveland? Yeah. So once you get to a certain point and you're not drafting a starting quarterback, it's easy for this slope to get a lot more slippery. And round 2 becomes round 3, which quickly becomes round 4, which quickly becomes round 5. And all of a sudden, you're not drafting a guy that you feel like could come in year 1. If you're drafting a quarterback in round 5, you're drafting a backup. You're not drafting someone that's going to come in and start. So in this league, there is no conspiracy against Shedeur Sanders. Let's just get that out of the way. These guys draft people that they don't love as humans all the time if they can run a fast 40 or catch a football or make it work. I mean, heck, we vet these guys a lot. But ultimately, if your play outweighs your baggage, then NFL teams will take you because they care about winning. They're not running a, they're not trying to run a personality contest. They're trying to win football games. So there's no conspiracy against him. But his play did not outweigh the other stuff and the other noise. And that's not me saying that because, hey, I'm not in those rooms. As Reese Davis said to Mel Kiper on ESPN over the weekend, the draft spoke. The draft has spoken. So clearly, 32 teams did not feel like his play outweighed the noise. That's not fair to Shedeur Sanders. I'm not going to claim it is. It is simply the reality of the situation. I think the person it's the most unfair for is Dylan Gabriel because you already have Browns players putting on their Instagram stories, "Let's go be great, Shedeur. This is your time. Your time to shine." Dylan Gabriel's sitting there like, well, wait a minute. I was the 3rd-round pick. What am I, sliced bread? Kenny Pickett, how does he feel in this situation? Like, there's a lot of people this is unfair for. Shedeur Sanders being one of them. But I do think that he and his camp had something to do with this happening because you don't fall to the 5th round just because you take a lot of sacks. There was a lot of noise out of this. Again, that's about as nuanced I can get into it. We could spend an hour on this if we really wanted to.
You really
if you want that, First Take will have it for you. I think, like me, many of you are probably tired of this conversation as well already.
Real quick, it got brought up about the backup quarterbacks too in our chat. Real quick, the YouTube chat, and follow us on there. But here's the other thing too. Remember, over the last couple of years, Cam Newton stated publicly that's why he wasn't signed on the roster. There was other quarterbacks getting signed, and he was sitting there like, what the heck is wrong with me? Well, it's because Cam even said it. I bring a different voice. Yeah. I bring a different look. I bring a different everything to you. And when you the backup, there are rules of delegation when you are the backup quarterback. You can never be louder than the starter. We said this last week. Quarterbacks are very finicky, especially in the NFL. And for the perception, there's only one of 32 jobs in the world. If you are the starter, you don't want your backup getting more praise than you. And again, if Will's already said, and I think others have too, you got Cleveland Browns players already putting Shedeur ahead of Dylan Gabriel.
That's tough.
And he might have to be.
They got plenty of battles, though. I mean, they got to figure out in general who's on their – I mean, they've got 5.
Joe Flacco, Deshaun Watson, Dylan Gabriel, Kenny Pickett, Shedeur Sanders.
Yeah.
Wow, what a room.
That's a documentary waiting to happen.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Sucks for Shedeur is what I would say. But he got
he can make the most of it now, though.
His separation from his dad should be huge for him. But we'll see.
It is very interesting. So, anyway, that's our opinion on Shedeur Sanders. We're not going to spend nearly as much time as all the national shows will on it because I believe many of you have fatigue, and so do we. But we're not doing our jobs if we don't at least discuss it ourselves this morning as well. So, coming up next, we transition back to the Titans discussion. Stoney Keeley, the RKW draft expert, joins us breaking down every Titans draft pick next.
We love being part of the moments that matter, which is why we're announcing employee pricing for everyone. You pay what we pay. Employee pricing at Two Rivers Ford. Locally owned, American made.
Hey, it's Will Bowling. Is your water heater not heating? Maybe your sink is leaking, the drain is clogged. Well, here for you 24/7, 365. Our expert friends at Lee Company have you covered for all of your plumbing needs. And right now, you can enjoy $30 off your next plumbing visit. Just contact Lee Company today at 615-567-1000 or head online to leecompany.com for an appointment to take care of your home's plumbing from top to bottom. Again, that's $30 off your next plumbing visit at leecompany.com. Trust the folks that I trust with over 80 years of experience. When you're in business since 1944, you learn how to do business the right way. At Lee Company, open 24/7. They're there for you at a moment's notice. When something isn't working, they will be there in one of their 1,000 vehicles, those vans and trucks. You see the Lee Company fleet everywhere around Middle Tennessee. They are there to help you. So get $30 off your next plumbing visit at leecompany.com or call them at 615-567-1000. That's Lee Company, all you need. RKW on 104.5 The Zone is brewed by Scooters Coffee. Kick off your Monday by downloading the Scooters Coffee mobile app and order ahead and save $2 off your first mobile order. Crew's all here. Ramon Foster, Kayla Anderson, and Will Bowling, joined by the RKW draft expert, the man who put together hundreds of draft profiles at Stack in the Inbox and was on a mega cast yesterday for football and other F words here in the building. Stoney, I'm just glad you are not tired of talking into microphones after how long you guys were on air yesterday. What's going on?
Not tired of it at all yet, Will, though I am beginning to feel like it's like Groundhog Day. Like I'm just going to wake up every morning for the rest of my life and talk about this draft class. But no, the voice is still intact, thankfully. I wasn't sure how this was going to play out this morning, but we're here. We're ready to get to it.
I love it. Stoney Keeley, our guest this morning. So, Stoney, we're going to go pick by pick on who the Titans got, your breakdown of them. But let's just start with a dealer's choice. Who was your favorite pick, if you had to pick one, in terms of value, in terms of fit, all those things put together, Stoney, over the weekend for this team?
I'm going with the offensive lineman out of Sacramento State, Jackson Slater.
Okay.
I don't know if anybody has seen my reaction to that pick live. It was so funny because it was tipped on Twitter before we saw it on the broadcast, and Zach would not let me go to Twitter and get the pick. He's like, I want to see your face when this guy's name pops up on screen, because he was one of my guys in this class. He was one of my hidden gems. He was on my Titans fit list. I thought that he fit what this team really wants to do in the run game really well. And so I was stoked. My reaction, I'm borderline embarrassed of how stoked I got when his name was announced.
I love it. Absolutely love it. We'll get more breakdown on him in a second, Stoney. But let's just go round by round here and start at the top. We've talked so much about Cam Ward. Let's start with Oluwafemi Oladejo, the outside linebacker from UCLA. A little bit of a reach maybe from where he was on the consensus. Big board, but only by 5 picks. What do you like about him, and what stands out about him and his fit in this defense?
Yeah, I was a little lower on Oladejo than I think the consensus was, but he's still a fine player. I feel like where he was selected was a little rich for my taste, but this is a guy that does have really good traits, really good length. You know, you can't coach the frame on a guy. So has a really good speed to power move. That is a move that typically translates well from college to the NFL. It's going to be about developing a feel for rushing the passer for Oladejo, in my opinion. I think, people have said like doesn't have a robust pass rush toolkit. I think there are flashes of other moves on his tape that you can work with. I mean, this is a good athlete. This is a powerful athlete, a guy that can do a little bit of everything. He only played 1 season at edge rusher. He's still learning the position. He's a converted linebacker. So when you talk about guys that can do multiple things, to me, that is how he fits into what Denard Wilson and this defense want to accomplish. Like, you need a guy that can get after the quarterback, but I'll put it like this. If you're putting multiple dudes at the front and you're trying to get quarterbacks thinking about who's going to drop, who's going to rush, that sort of thing, Oladejo is a good versatile piece, a guy that does have experience dropping into coverage as a linebacker, can rush the passer as well. Probably a piece in this stable that they're going to build around that edge rush department.
That always sucks at the line of scrimmage where you're trying to identify the rushers and the droppers, Stoney. That creates a headache. Cincinnati used to do that tons and tons back in the day, man, with their double barrel stuff. With that being said, another guy that plays close to the box, man, that elusive 3rd-round pick, Kevin Winston. What do you think about him coming out of Penn State, Stoney?
Yeah, so this was a guy, full disclosure, I chose not to evaluate for the Stacking the Inbox draft guide. We got into the 11th hour. I was looking at him. Like, this is a guy that only played in 2 or 3 games this season. There's no way the Titans are going to draft this guy. I need to go focus on players that they actually will draft. And then, lo and behold, they open up my mouth and stuff my own foot in it for me. So I actually stayed up Friday night after the draft went off the air and watched some Kevin Winston Jr. tape to kind of get a feel for the prospect. And I'm going to be doing a full film study on him this week on Stacking the Inbox. But this is a guy that, if not for the torn ACL that ended his season, the injury concerns, would probably have been a fringe first-round pick. I mean, safety 3 on a lot of boards. He's a team captain type, really decisive, smart angles against the run. He's a persistent tackler that sees the attempt through. You don't see any, pop tackles where he just hits the guy and bounces off. He's going to wrap up. He's going to take his target to the ground. Fluid and change of direction, backpedals and flows to the catch point. I think the question with Winston Jr. is going to be his feel and coverage, because it looks pretty spotty. But to me, this was a pick that's about 2 to 3 years in the future. It's like you get a guy that has the pedigree, could be one of the best safeties to come out of this class, and you got him at a value in a third-round pick. I think it's a move that it might take a little bit before we see it pay dividends, but it's one that could work for this team regardless.
Man, I'm going to skip over to MDK and let Kayla roll with them because I want to go with the big at the line of scrimmage real quick, all right? Gunnar Helm, man, looks like a prototypical tight end. What do you see from him that could allow him to be productive in this offense, man, as Josh Wiley and Chig also try to figure out their pathway to be successful?
Yeah, I think Gunnar Helm is kind of a Swiss Army knife. I think he's a guy that can do a lot of things well. Didn't test that well at the combine, has a pretty low relative athletic score, and I do think that shows up on the tape. And at times, like his breaks aren't very crisp. He kind of drifts a little bit. But, man, this is a dude that can do a little bit of everything. And I do think that he is a nimble runner with the ball in his hands. But I think where he makes an immediate impact is in pass protection. I think he could stand to add a little power and drive as a run blocker, but in pass pro, this guy blocks like he's in a mosh pit. Like, just whoever's coming by is catching an elbow to the ribs, you're getting bumped in the shoulder, that sort of thing. Like, he is a seek and destroy kind of guy that can really slip through, head up the seam, get out into the flat, and move the chains. I think there's really potential for him to be tight end 1 for the Titans pretty early on in his career. And to get that guy as late as they did, that's a really good value pick.
We've got Stoney Keeley with us, been with us through the whole draft process, and they got their class. And at 103 in round 4, they picked the wide receiver Chimere Dike out of Florida. I was a little shocked that he went this early, but why do you take a guy like this at that spot?
Yeah, Kayla, I'm a big fan of DK. I felt like I was the lone person on the internet on Saturday morning that was just like, heck yeah, man, this pick rules. I think we should do our best to try not to hold Florida's passing game against Chimere Dike. This guy is a really good athlete. And for me, the question that I had was, we knew the Titans had sniffed around Kyle Williams. We knew they had sniffed around Jalen Noel. Isaac Tesla goes off the board. Ty Felton, another speedy, shifty wide receiver, goes off the board with the last pick in night 2 of the draft. Part of me just wondered if Chimere Dike was a guy that they just loved, that they were really high on, and they felt, hey, we can't risk losing another one of these. We've got to get one of these wide receivers from this group. And so maybe they overvalued him a little bit. Maybe it was a little bit of a reach. It was definitely a reach compared to the consensus board, but we know the NFL is not making that consensus board. So opinions are going to vary greatly. So it's entirely possible they were just super high on this prospect. But I liked his drafting. I think he's a really good athlete, good speed, good size. He's a guy that can run. He's a guy that can use his hands and his head to manipulate defensive backs. You know, the whole, like, look out before you break in, try to get the defensive backs to jump. I think there's an element of that to his game. There's going to be some refinement, and I think there is some fair question about his readiness for the NFL because of what he was asked to do at Florida. But on the surface, this kid has really good athleticism. I think he's going to end up being a good complementary wide receiver for this team.
Yeah, and Stoney, if you weren't happy with that pick, well, that's okay, because then in the second pick they had in the fourth round, they go with Alec Ayumanor out of Stanford. Is this guy a year one starter in this offense?
I think he absolutely could be. And from what I had heard, he started to slide because there were some injury concerns that I don't think were fully reported throughout the draft process. But even then, it gets to a certain point, and you got to go get your man. Go get your man. If he starts sliding like that, whatever it takes, go get him. So I commend them for that trade. They also didn't really give up a lot to go get him, so that was quite impressive. Like, to the point where you're like, did somebody owe Mike Borgonzi a favor? Why would anybody agree to this? But he's a really good player. I think he can be a starter right away. The conversation that we were having on the Football and Other F Words megacast on Saturday, which, by the way, we got to try and trademark that term. I don't know if that's possible or not.
Love it.
The conversation we were having then was, is Alec Ayumanor your NWI replacement? Just right out of the gate. Is he going to be able to do a lot of the things that NWI was doing? Regardless of where you land on that, I do think this is a guy that can be your true X receiver. He kind of adds a different flavor to that wide receiving core, makes it a really complete group where after those two picks, and then especially adding Xavier Restrepo as an undrafted free agent, you've got a little bit of variety among these wide receivers. You have somebody that can do a little bit of everything. It might not translate on the field right away, but by season's end, I think this could actually end up being a pretty complete, pretty good-looking wide receiving core.
Stoney Keeley, our guest this morning on Ramon, Kayla, and Will. Stoney, where does Jackson Slater project in his NFL future? Pick 167 for the Titans, the Athletics' number 5 center in this class. Do you see him as a future center replacement for Lloyd Cushenberry to save some money, or could he be a right guard with the aging Kevin Zeitler only here on a one-year deal?
I think the Titans have options with a guy like Jackson Slater. It could just end up being, hey, where do we need this guy? And that could dictate where he ends up. I think right now it looks like he's probably fit to be the right guard replacement for Kevin Zeitler. Zeitler's only on a one-year deal, so you're already kind of thinking like, well, a little long in the tooth. You don't have a contingency plan there right now, so it feels like that's the natural spot for him to land. But I do think he offers that guard center versatility. And so if Lloyd Cushenberry doesn't come back 100% from his injury, or if Brinker and Borgonzi just decide this is another Rand Carthon pick that we want to move on from, Jackson Slater absolutely can kick inside the center and play either spot. And I think that's what makes him such an attractive option late in this draft.
I'm going to skip to the end, Stoney, to Khalil Mullings, the running back out of Michigan, with respect to Marcus Harris, who we'll get to in a second. Khalil Mullings won Michigan some games this year, and Donovan Edwards Jr. was on the cover of EA College Football 25. Khalil Mullings did not care. He took that job away from Donovan Edwards with respect to him as well. Background on special teams, a former linebacker. Is this going to be just a straight-up battle with Julius Chestnut, Stoney? Because looking at his scouting report, it feels like he's got a lot of similarities to Chestnut.
Yeah, I think Mullings is going to be a really good complement to this running back rotation. And for the nerds out there that might be hearing Khalil Mullings and thinking, oh, that's Superman's name. Yes, it is. He actually confirmed over the weekend. Yeah. So I think he probably plays a lot like Superman. Like, he's not even going to try and evade you. He's just going to run right through you. I mean, this guy is a hammer. He's a really good athlete. You mentioned Donovan Edwards there, Will, and that's a key point here. Mullings doesn't really have the tread on the tires that you usually see from a guy like that. So coming into the league relatively fresh, in my eval, I actually wrote, this guy is built like a defensive end. Why is he playing running back? I didn't even know that little nugget about him being a converted linebacker until Zach brought it up on the megacast on Saturday. So this is, if I'm Julius Chestnut and I see this draft pick come in, I'm feeling pretty nervous. I'm feeling like, oh boy, I got to step my game up if I if I want to hang around on this roster. I think that is going to be a fun competition to watch this summer.
Last one. Marcus Harris, man, cornerback out of California. How you view him and potentially his role? We're talking about the 183rd pick, so you're not even the 7th round. I think it's still good value there for a guy like him.
Yeah, and it's special teams value as well. You look at that Cal defense. They had 3 other guys that got drafted. A guy that we talked about on this show, Noel Williams, goes to the Kansas City Chiefs, which is great because I love when smart teams pick players that I like. It makes me feel like I know what I'm doing sometimes. Craig Woodson was a guy that they had visited with. Teddy Buchanan goes to the Ravens. Bert's loving that pick. And then you have Marcus Harris, who's the cornerback on the other side of Noel Williams there. But I think the thing about Harris, when you look at the traits, when you look at the measurables, this looks like a guy that if he's going to play defense for this team and not just return kicks, return punts, play special teams, be that ace that they need, because they do still need some beef on special teams. But the measurables, specifically the arm length with Harris, to me indicates that he's probably going to be moving inside to the slot at the NFL. And so this could have been, we talked about Roger McCreary only having one more year on his deal. I talked earlier about the Kevin Winston Jr. pick. A lot of these picks being about 2 to 3 years down the road, Marcus Harris could end up being a really smart value pick if he's able to establish a role on this team as a slot corner. I think that's ultimately the vision with him.
I'm going to get in one more because I know our listeners would not be happy without me asking about the value you get signing Xavier Restrepo and why he did indeed fall out of the draft.
Yeah, I don't think it's a great mystery. I think it was the athleticism, the testing. I mean, for all we say about just watch the tape, it doesn't matter. It matters to NFL teams. They're looking at that as a way to separate these guys on their board, and I think Restrepo's testing was disastrous enough that it did plummet his stock, but I do really like the tape. I do really like the player. I think he's a really savvy guy that can be a sort of safety valve in this offense. And now all of a sudden you're 6 to 7 wide receivers deep in this thing, and you're talking about a guy like Restrepo who also happens to have that built-in chemistry with your new quarterback, Cam Ward. So I think it was pretty simple in Restrepo's case. I think it was the testing that did him in, but I think he landed in a pretty good spot, and I think he adds a lot of value for this Titans team. And they didn't even have to give up a draft pick to get him.
Stoney Keeley has been our guest.
Yep.
He has crushed it here with us leading up to the draft, recapping this draft here on RKW. Make sure you hit the subscribe button on Football and Other F Words, stacking the inbox as well. Great analysis from Stoney. Stoney, we appreciate you, man. This has been awesome. We will certainly keep you in the rotation and would love to get you back on soon. We really appreciate you for making time for us every week.
Absolutely.
Man, I appreciate you guys having me on, shining a light on the work that we're doing on Football and Other F Words and stacking the inbox. It's meant a lot. This cycle has been fun, and if there's anything I can do for y'all, just say the word. I'm here.
Yes, sir.
Thanks, Stoney.
Absolutely. In your own words, let's have a Monday.
Yes.
We'll talk to you soon, bud.
Let's have a Monday.
Yes, sir. There he is. All right, Stoney Keeley with us here this morning, breaking down the Titans draft. His favorite pick, Jackson Slater.
Yeah. Love
I remember he's talked about Slater moving up to the draft. It's
Yes, he
always,
has.
you feel a lot more intelligent when you pick someone on day 3, and it's like, you're the Leonardo DiCaprio meme. I know him. That's because someone a lot smarter than me knows him, and I'm just, through osmosis, follow that guy. One prospect, guys, took a pay cut by going to the NFL draft over the weekend. Let's talk some quarterbacks coming up next.
We've got a huge announcement from Two Rivers Ford. Just saying, Two Rivers Ford is now offering employee pricing for everyone. That means you pay what they pay on almost every new Ford on the lot. And at Two Rivers Ford, what you see is always what you get. They don't do things like add expensive accessories or tack on service packages to increase the price of the vehicle. Two Rivers Ford is upfront and honest every single time, and now they're offering you employee pricing. There's no better time to buy American. There is no better dealership than Two Rivers Ford. Locally owned and operated for over 40 years. home of the non-commissioned sales team also, and now home to employee pricing for everyone. From America, for America. Two Rivers Ford, the South's most trusted Ford dealer.
Don't think that there is something wrong with your house and that's why it's not selling. You just need an expert and proven marketing from real estate agent like Bernie Gallerani. He and his team market to thousands of buyers every single month, and that creates demand for properties just like yours. And that is exactly what you can get, top dollar for your home. Bernie Gallerani has more than 200 five-star Google reviews. He guarantees to sell your home in just 30 days or less, or it's simple, he's just going to buy it from you. To get started now, just Google Bernie Gallerani Real Estate, or you can simply go to BernieGallerani.com or give him a call on his cell phone, 615-428-2644. That's 615-428-2644.
RKW 1045, The Zone continues. Wrapping up hour 2, 615-737-1045. Sam Gilliwater of On3 writes, Quinn Ewers loses nearly $5 million by entering 2025 NFL Draft versus entering the transfer portal. Ewers picked by the Miami Dolphins, number 231 in the 7th round over the weekend, will per Spot Track make $4.3 million over his 4-year rookie deal with the franchise. According to experts like On3's Pete Nakos, it will be a significant loss compared to what he could have made by entering the portal. Nakos writes it on 3 that even before the season had ended in the college football playoff, Ewers was going to earn a chance at a deal worth as much as $6 million from teams apparently tampering with him to get him into the portal for his final year of eligibility. Either way, Arch Manning was going to be the starter in 2025. Guys, should Quinn Ewers have gone the Carson Beck route and tried to reinvent himself for one final season in a different spot?
For him, considering, no, just blatantly no, he shouldn't have. I know what the mindset is. Yeah, go get collecting money. And no, but I've always been of the mindset, get to the league. This is the goal right here. Go. Develop there. Spend time becoming a better pro more than anything, because here's the other side. Yeah, he get the money. I got a feeling Quinn Ewers ain't one of the types to be hurting for cash anyway, but besides that being the point, I feel like what we've seen out of Quinn Ewers so far is exactly what you're going to get from him no matter what. This isn't, to me, a Cam Ward situation where he's going from one level to the next. He played at Texas. He was also had a young freshman on his heels the entire time. I don't know if he had gone to Miami, South Carolina, wherever he wanted to go. Would he? No, he can't go to South Carolina, Penn State, wherever, Pitt. I don't know if he would have been able to elevate his game that much more to make him a first rounder. What he could have done is, to your point, maximize his dollars.
Right.
But he is what I thought he was going to be for the most part. There was, to me, nothing flash about him. I'm speaking about those 5 stars. It was like specifically him. Like, he may have tapped in high school. What has he done since he left high school to Ohio State that made you say, ooh, there's a higher floor for him? I don't know if there's a higher floor other than him being really good in college.
Yeah, I think he maximized what he could at a program that allows you to maximize it all, right? Like, you have the talent around you. You have all the tools as a quarterback at Texas to really be the player you want to be. And him coming back last year, he had an opportunity to work on some of those things. I know footwork has always been a thing with him. And I think at this point, if you were going to enter the NFL draft at any point with the quarterback class, because every year we can say, oh, it's going to be a great class, and you just never know. Well, this one you knew at some point probably didn't have as many, great graded quarterbacks as there have been in years past. And this was a great opportunity, I thought, for him to go in and maybe help raise the stock. But he is who he is at this point. And I think whoever gets him, which is now Miami, they can continue to develop him, no doubt about that. But right now, I see he's going to be a backup in this league, and he can be a good backup. But I don't think he would probably raise his draft stock going and, transferring to another place. His money, yes. His draft stock, no.
Man, I wish either him or, heck, I saw people were having the Shedeur Sanders transfer portal discussion over the weekend as well, about him helping himself if he just entered the portal. Like, imagine either of those guys on Tennessee's roster. Selfishly.
I actually side more with Shedeur doing it.
Yeah.
To get away from Dion?
Yeah.
Which obviously was never going to happen, but
imagine,
it would have helped. He had more to gain by going somewhere else maybe than Quinn Ewers did. I feel like we got to keep the same energy we did with Jalen Milroe, with Quinn Ewers. Both of them could have helped themselves more by entering the portal and having another stop at the end of the process. I think more so than that, and look, it's his choice, right? Like, I saw Josh Pate mention last night, like, a lot of the people who blame players for bag chasing will also blame guys like Quinn Ewers for going and taking a pay cut to be an NFL player. Like, ultimately, whatever you decide to do on either side of that, it's your call. Whatever's more important to you. If you want to take a pay cut to not go to class anymore, and look, Quinn Ewers has had a lot of injuries, so maybe it makes more sense for him as a guy with some medical red flags of like, hey, if I go back and I get hurt again, I might not get drafted at all. So let's go ahead and strike while the iron's hot. So maybe I get it a little bit more with him than I do Milroe. But I think there is an interesting market now of quarterbacks who aren't wanted by their teams because they've got an heir apparent who's better. Like Georgia kind of didn't really want Carson Beck back, I don't think.
They did not.
Texas did not really want Arch Manning, or they didn't want Quinn Ewers back. They wanted Arch Manning to be the starting quarterback. Like Alabama would have had a tough decision to make if Jalen Milroe wanted to come back. You're probably like nudging a guy that's established out. And I think it's going to be really interesting to see how much that continues to happen, because I think if Texas didn't have Arch on the roster, they're probably making a competitive offer to bring Quinn Ewers back.
Yeah.
So I think sometimes, yes, these guys in name only are taking a pay cut, but also you got to think, like, does their team really want them? I don't think Texas really did. I think they were moving on to Arch either way.
The other thing, too, and he's only 22, maybe 23 next year, right? Are we knocking him also for being older guy coming out, too?
23 next year.
I know, but, like, you know what I'm saying? The conversation is, well, he's older.
Yeah, that's fair.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
I agree.
It's always that conversation.
It
But,
always
like,
comes up.
For sure.
now we're saying you should have gone back. Like, no, expedite the process of you getting on there. He can be clipboard Jesus for 8 more years.
I really am fascinated by that fit in Miami, because Quinn Ewers, since high school, has had elite physical ability and traits. He's inaccurate. He makes some very questionable decisions. But in that offense, and with Mike McDaniel, who minimizes a lot of those bad decisions, if you can play on time and throw accurately in a short amount of time with the snap of a finger and get the ball out quickly, they might have something there. I mean, the talent has always been there for Quinn.
Well, and that's why I don't necessarily agree with you that we have the same conversation about Jalen Milroe not deciding to transfer. I think Jalen needed to do it because of the arm situation. I mean, Quinn already had that part of it. I don't think he needed to, maybe go somewhere and work on such a big part of his game. Whereas Jalen, I think that's such a big part of the game at the NFL level that he could have helped himself. But hopefully he develops in Seattle under Sam Darnold.
I actually didn't like Quinn Ewers' arm. I didn't.
They're both inaccurate.
I don't like his throwing motion or how he gives it out. Like, he and Cam Ward have a similar throwing motion where he can just flick it out and sidearm a little bit, but his doesn't have the zip. His doesn't have the accuracy, and he has issue, I feel like, having touch with his. I felt like he was a product of having really great talent, which ain't his issue, and got carried more. It wasn't anything I thought he did to elevate. You know what I'm saying? Texas this past year, to that same point of, like, yeah, you're right. He could have gone back to help his passing, but he probably better off to me in that same sense, like Milroe going and transferring. Okay, yeah, I can get that one.
I think they're both inaccurate. They both missed too many layups.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the best way of saying it. Angel Reese out here.
Right? Well, hopefully these NFL teams take the time to do that.
I love Angel, but I'm just saying, we got to be able to tell
Angel
the truth
Reese was
out here.
minding her business.
We got to be able to tell the truth
On a Monday morning.
You know what I'm saying?
615-737-1045 is our number. Resetting the headlines to begin the second half of the show. The Titans added some pretty big value with their second round pick, the ceiling for Oluwafemi Oladejo. We'll talk more about that next.
Mother's Day is right around the corner, and why not surprise her with a great gift? I'm usually all about the flowers, but this year I'm doing something different, giving her an Aura digital picture frame. Aura Frames just named the best digital photo frame by Wirecutter, featured in 495 gift guides just last year. Aura has a great deal for Mother's Day coming up. For a limited time, listeners can save on the perfect gift by visiting auraframes.com to get $35 plus free shipping off of their Carver matte frame. That is auraframes.com. Promo code ZONE. Type that in, ZONE. Support the station by mentioning us at checkout. Terms and conditions apply.
Good morning. It's 8:02 from the 104.5 The Zone Studios. I'm Justin Hawkins. The 2025 NFL Draft has been wrapped up, and the Tennessee Titans have a new rookie class led by first overall pick Miami quarterback Cam Ward. The Titans made 8 selections both Friday and Saturday in rounds 2 through 7. And you can start in round 2, where they traded out of pick 35 with the Seattle Seahawks for pick 52 in the second round and 82 in the third round. With those picks, the Titans selected UCLA edge Oluwafemi Oladejo with the 52nd pick and Penn State safety Kevin Winston Jr. with the 82nd pick. In the fourth round, the Titans drafted 3 players: Florida wide receiver Chimere Dike, Texas tight end Gunnar Helm, and also Stanford wide receiver Alec Iomanner. After the Titans traded up 5 spots with the Ravens, giving up a 5th-round pick as well as a late 5th-round pick swap to select him. In the 5th round, the Titans selected Sacramento State guard Jackson Slater. And finally, the 6th round, where the Titans selected Cal cornerback Marcus Harris and Michigan running Khalil Mullings. Then, immediately following the draft, the Titans got back to work, signing at least a reported 13 undrafted free agent signings to this point, including Cam Ward's favorite target in Miami and teammate Xavier Restrepo, wide receiver, who now they get to reunite in the two-tone blue. In other Nashville news over the weekend, Nashville SC Saturday night earned a 3-point in 7-2 win over the Chicago Fire at Geodis Park. The win comes thanks to 4 goals from Sam Surridge and 2 goals from Hani Mukhtar, as well as adding an assist. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, you've got to go to USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Balls. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Second half of the show getting started on this Monday morning. There is a lot to get into. Friends, here on RKW, we are brewed by Scooters Coffee with locations in White House, Mount Juliet, Rivergate, Smyrna, and Brentwood. You can download the Scooters Coffee mobile app today to order ahead and save $2 off your first mobile order. Crew is all here. Ramon Foster, Kayla Anderson, and Will Bowling. Justin Hawkins is our producer. We'd love to hear your thoughts. What is your favorite draft pick that the Titans made, not named Cam Ward, over the weekend? 615-737-1045. Guys, it was very cool to see the reception for the new QB1 at Yeehaw and 6th and Peabody on Friday. A good interview with 3HL, which you can get wherever you download podcasts. But the people came out in droves to see Cam Ward over the weekend.
Yeah,
pretty cool.
Which they should. It's their new quarterback, man. Face of the franchise, hoping to be at least. And what a great time to just experience it and get to hear him firsthand, because he is everything as advertised. Cam Ward is going to always just be him.
Yeah. This weekend, I feel like my like of him has grown even more.
Me too.
Just
I'm glad.
football player more than anything. And that's what this franchise needs more than anything, a football player. And it's going to be fascinating to see how he challenges teammates. It's going to be fascinating how he continues to challenge himself, because this is the honeymoon. I'm talking about this is the Super Bowl. This is the kickoff where the cameras are flashing and everything. When they hit adversity, and most and all players do, it don't matter who you are. I feel like he's prepared for those moments. And considering you were picked number 1 overall by no trade up, your team was that bad. They need a guy like him, is what I kept saying this weekend after listening to him, watching him, and just how calculated he is. This team needed a guy like him.
I know there was a lot of people, too, that were like, he didn't get his moment. We talked about that as well on Friday. And his dad made it clear over the weekend, responding to a lot of people, too, that saying, appreciate that, but that he doesn't want that. He doesn't care about that. He just wants to get in the film room, and he just wants to play ball. And that's exactly right. That's the truth.
I mean, the guy had wired headphones that you get in the package your phone comes in, walking off of the jet to come to Nashville over the weekend. There's no Beats, no AirPods, like the wired old school white Apple headphones. Just get the job done. Guy's he's all football, isn't he? He is a football guy.
Chose Under Armour. You know what I'm saying? The branding of what they're going to be able to do for him, because Under Armour got plenty of athletes, but he's their number 1 pick at quarterback guy. Don't be shocked if you see a lot of Cam Ward stuff now, I think.
Yeah. Go get your jerseys now.
Cam propaganda. Propaganda.
They got a
There you
guy.
Here in Nashville.
Hashtag propaganda.
Titans added some value with upside in the second round. We talked a lot about a trade back possibility leading up to the draft. And the Titans, who originally held the 35th pick, moved back with Seattle for picks 52 and 82, adding UCLA edge rusher Oluwafemi Oladejo. 6'3", 259, selected with the 52nd overall pick. Like we mentioned, 57 tackles, 13.5 for loss, 4.5 sacks. A player who started 2 games at inside linebacker before moving to the edge spot. How comfortable are you with the projectability, with the potential of this prospect with the 52nd overall pick who doesn't have as much production at edge rusher, but has a lot of upside? Did you like this pick in the moment?
I like the pick because of the need and his style and his familiarity with the defense. I will say of all the picks this year, I feel like he's the one that's probably going to have the most questions. You're a second-round pick, the production has to be there. The effect of your game has to show as quick as possible. And, again, from what I've seen from his style of play, I don't watch a whole lot of Pac-12 football or Big Ten football.
Big Ten football, yeah.
This past year as it pertains to his school, UCLA. But what I will say is this. He's got to come in and really proclaim his spot. He has to. The production has to be there, too. Or showing ways that don't hit the set lines by holding the edge on the line of scrimmage. The way I view his style, he's not a Mike Green type of rusher. He's not a James Pierce type of rusher. He's somewhere in between. And when you're somewhere in between, to me, you got to be effective at least going, dropping the coverage because he's used to it, or have an effect on the quarterback. I'm unsure, but I'm not opposed to them going and get a guy that they know is going to be stable, high character, and stuff like that. That's the way I view it. It's kind of,
yeah.
it ain't weird, but I'm waiting to see.
And that's you have to in a way, right?
Yeah.
In a way, I don't want to call him a project by any means, but there's just so much growth to be had.
Yeah.
And so maybe you
Project's
could,
fair.
maybe you could call him that, right?
Yeah,
and
for sure.
I think they know that too. And they had admitted that a lot of these draft picks are developmental guys. And again, I go back to Chad Brinker and Mike Borgonzi in their 2 previous stops. Like, that is what a lot of these organizations, those 2 organizations did, is they draft somebody, the guys they could see being developmental players. And so you don't have to be happy with it because it was a second-round pick. But I think that's how much upside they feel he has. The familiarity with Denard Wilson's type of defense helps maybe expand that process a little bit more.
Yeah.
And I think that the other thing with him is you're getting that physicality, that strength part of it as well that they really wanted. And honestly, if you look at the other edges at that spot, maybe they just didn't see those guys necessarily as fits right there, but they knew they had to go and get their edge earlier than later because you know that there was a run on them. I think it might take a minute, but I think he could be that guy.
Is he allowed that? That's going to be his biggest issue.
He's a starter the second he
You
gets
see what I'm saying?
But yeah, and I'm saying just as a dominant pass rusher.
the second he gets
You get what I'm saying?
I'm just saying, like, in a sense of, like, is he going to be allowed time as a second rounder with what this team needs? So, because that's going to be the biggest conversation. It ain't the fact that the coaches understand his development has to happen. It is, to that point publicly, fan expectation. And not to say, your point was right, but it's just, is he going to be allowed that grace to grow up?
Because you think about just like a quarterback, a pass rusher is also expected to get to the quarterback and is a big part of your defense and a big reason why teams have success, i.e. the Philadelphia Eagles.
Can he have the same effect that Tavondre had last year to kind of settle the pick?
Because there'll be more eyes on an quote-unquote edge position. And by the way, Draymond Jones, who they got in the offseason, he's also more of a versatile player. When they primarily put him at edge in Seattle last year, he didn't necessarily get the numbers you wanted him to get. So you can't look at that guy either and say, well, he's dominantly the edge at this spot across from Arnke, right?
Yep.
So yeah, in a way, there will be a lot of eyes.
Yeah, he is a project. I think he is a risk. You have to take risks in the draft the further away you get from the first round. Dan Brugler writes in The Athletic, his pass rush is more basic than advanced right now, but he isn't shy about using speed to power and creating leverage with upward strikes. Offers pass rush upside as he continues to evolve his attack plan and arsenal of moves, but he has the disruptive qualities, his power and effort to see immediate NFL snaps. He has 3 down potential, although convincing NFL teams that he is coachable enough to reach his ceiling will be key for him throughout the draft process. This is a guy who, while he was an inside linebacker, picked off Cam Ward earlier in his college career. Has the ability to drop back in coverage, has the ability to stop the run. It's going to be interesting. I think a lot will be expected of him very quickly.
Very quickly. So a weapon more than anything is, and they've done some stuff in free agency to allow themselves to have more guys be able to drop in coverage and cover too. And here's the other side of this is going to be necessary, especially with a team like the Colts getting the tight end that they did, who was also prank called this past weekend. So,
Tyler Warren.
Tyler Warren. He wasn't talked about as much as getting the prank calls like Shedeur.
Nobody
did, but both
knew
of them
until
did.
later. Yeah, it's crazy, man. But yeah, there's some weapons in the AFC South now that you got to have guys like Femi, that have the ability to cover if you need them to. Which is, again, I think the draft was a solid one for the Titans this time around, and especially with a guy, and I'm finding his name real quick, not Chimere, but Kevin Winston.
Yeah.
Hopefully he can cover the tight ends that are in this division moving forward too, and just be that guy around the line of scrimmage.
And Stoney said it too with him, and I mentioned it. I think he's going to be more of a you wait and see when he gets his starting moment, but he's going to continue to have that time. Here's the difference. He'll have the time. Olo Adengio, he's going to have to kind of be that guy eventually in this first year.
Yeah.
What was your favorite pick of the Tennessee Titans draft? We'll give you ours next.
It's Ramon Foster for Secure Lawn, and right now I'm getting ready to talk to you guys about your yards, good people. If you're like me, you obsess about your grass all the time. You pull up to the driveway, and guess what? You nod your head, smile a little bit because you're obsessed the way I do about it. And you want to be the talk of the neighborhood when it comes to that. Well, the company that gets you right is Secure Lawn. What they do is provide a prime service to you, and that means having the team members properly trained to understand how to provide the right chemicals that they lay down on your yard. And here's the cool thing about it, too. That stuff is pet and kid friendly too. You don't have to worry about the issues that come along with what they put down in your yard. What you will see is those weeds dying off and your grass getting thicker and more healthy too. Again, one of the best companies around. They're family owned and operated and local. They've been servicing Middle Tennessee for over 20 years. They're punctual, quick response time, and they service all types of yards and grass too, residential, commercial, even athletic fields. So go ahead and get a head start on trusting the company I do that provides a prime service, and they are Secure Lawn. You can call them 615-893-8455 or go to securelawn.com. It's Ramon Foster for All American Pest Control. Good people, it is that time of the year when bugs become buggier, and you know what I mean right there. But I'm also happy to have All American Pest Control on my side. Man, I think we're supposed to get some higher temperatures this week, which means the bugs will be out. And here's the thing about it. We are set up, my family and I are set up on All American's Complete Care Max program for pest control, mosquitoes, termites, and the yard too. And yes, I do mean the yard. You want to enjoy the outdoors, man, and not have to worry about slapping your arms and legs and maybe even your face if the bugs get up. They do a good job of servicing all around my house. And if a pest get inside, all I got to do is call them, and they send a pest expert back out to treat the inside for no extra charge. It is fantastic, man. Reach out to the company that I trust at All American Pest Control. The website is yuckbugs.com. That's yuckbugs.com.
RKW 104.5 The Zone continues here in hour number 3, 615-737-1045, and streaming live on 104.5 The Zone TV, Facebook Live, YouTube, Twitter, or Twitch. What was your favorite pick of the Titans draft? Stoney Keeley joined us an hour ago and said his was Jackson Slater, the guard out of Sacramento State. Kayla, what was your favorite pick that the Titans made over the weekend?
Well, I couldn't go with Cam Ward, like you said. That excluded it. So I'm going with the wide receiver out of Stanford, Alec Iomanner. And I like him. I'm surprised they didn't get him first, but it worked out for them. And so I was thrilled and elated when they made that pick and he was still there. Look, he's the type of pass catcher I think that you want in terms of the Titans and what they're looking to build. He's got the size. He's got the physicality. He's a big target, but he's also a technician in some sorts. I think he runs pretty clean routes. If you go back and look at any of his film, we've mentioned this before, especially when you saw him go against Travis Hunter when Stanford played Colorado. He attacks the ball in the air. And I think that he is known for making tough, contested type of catches. That's all good stuff when you've got a rookie quarterback also connected with him. They need that instantly. And you had mentioned Nick Westbrook-Akine possibly taking, that role that he is now gone to Miami. And so I like all of those things about him. I also like the attitude this guy brings. I asked him specifically, what it taught you in an NIL world, in a transfer portal world, what it meant to stay at Stanford for those 3 years. And he did have injury that first year, but he was there those 2 years after, and he stayed true to that. He said, nothing against guys that hit the transfer portal. He said, but what I worked on was becoming a man here at Stanford and, sticking true to what I do. And that's another part of his game that he really loves. He says, I am definitely a guy that is considered a dynamic playmaker, but my mind is my biggest asset. He says, he's willing to do what it takes. He calls himself gritty. And he said also that he is a guy that is willing to do the run blocking part of things, which I know some wide receivers don't think as highly of that.
Well, that was a standard here for a while.
It was with Mike Vrabel. So he's willing to do that too. If that is the case, nothing's, too big for him or underneath him, I should say. So I just like the whole mindset of this guy. And he's coming in with a chip on his shoulder because he did feel like he slipped. And he did say that, was something he didn't expect when he was drafted.
Oh, good. Chip on his shoulder. It's huge.
Yeah.
The draft and free agency is by far one of the most eye-opening, I feel like, events that any player is going to go through. Never as high, never as low. It's hard to be that way because you're chasing your hopes and dreams. Mine, though, Gunnar Helm.
Mm-hmm.
I like the size. I like how he's played. I like the fact that he is a big athlete but has a strong attraction to actually catching the football, too. I somewhat look at him with where this team is and his style of play. He has, for me, a natural knack of being able to find an open window. I initially, now don't take my word for this one on it, okay? I could come and have pie on my face later. But I view his style somewhat similar to the way you can find Kelsey in the Kansas City offense.
Ooh.
Now, with how Cam plays, with how he has this, he's so big, right, that you got to ask yourself, how do you find these open windows like that? That's what he does. Now, a lot of people, the critics would tell you, well, most of his stuff was on play action, fake blocking, then getting into the seam. So he can catch the ball. He can absolutely run afterwards, too, and you don't want to be in his way. We heard Steely somewhat say that. Too, Stoney. I call him Steely.
I like
Dan.
that. Steely Dan, yeah.
Steely is cool. Okay, he's in the chat. He might give me
that's a cool nickname.
thumbs up or down. Steely. But he said that you don't want to get in his way when he's running. And looking at the production as of late, and Chiggs had a little bit more than Josh Wiley have as Josh can stay on the field. I see this situation, if he still has the knack of being able to get open, get around guys, press and get off of them, of being a potential one. Maybe not on paper, but probably in production is the way I view him. I like his size. I like him being able to get over guys. That's one thing I feel like if Chig's going to be his size and not the premier blocker, then I need you to be dynamic in your pass catching. I think Chig somewhat was very unstable in that over the last couple of years with the drops and just uncertainty of. Yeah, inconsistent, for sure.
Stoney Keeley on YouTube says, I'll take any nickname if it means I've earned a nickname.
I love it.
That's a bar.
That's a bar.
He's got the stones.
Steely out here. You feel me?
It's Steely.
Yeah.
That's funny. What does the Gunnar Helm pick mean for Chig Okonkwo and Josh Wiley?
last year, this contract for Chig, better go. If you are trying to be tight end number one coming out of training camp, you got to go right now because this guy caught 60 passes last year for that team. Now, you can say, well, it's because of the weapons, what I've seen, the weapons around him, but guess what? You say to that also. You got more weapons here. You got more outlets to where the ball can go, especially if you're going to play this game where you're tight around the line of scrimmage with the Aya Maynard picks. Like, those are the things that you want. Chig and Josh Wiley, specifically Josh,
he needs to stay
step
healthy.
it up.
Like, that was Josh's problem, too.
Yeah.
He couldn't stay healthy, and if he wants a spot on this roster in the future, I think he'll make it this year, obviously. I think there'll be 3 of them.
Yeah.
But in the future, you're right. With Chig's contract expiring soon and Josh, like, they got to step it up.
It's hard to say that for a rookie, but with how his production has played out over his years in college, I can see that being the case.
I think it puts Josh Wiley on notice, I think is what it means for this tight end room. You look at the skill set Gunnar Helm has and his ability to be a red zone target and catch passes that are thrown to him, pretty much as simply as we can put it. He's brought in with a similar skill set to what Josh Wiley brought when he was drafted in the 5th round a couple of years ago.
Supposedly.
Wiley going into year 3, you always want someone that you've drafted and invested time and resources in to make a jump in year 3. Ramon, you've talked about that a lot for offensive linemen, but it's the case for everyone as well. Linemen just have a little bit of a longer learning curve based on the differences between NFL defensive linemen and college ones, but I think Josh Wiley is on the bubble of making this roster now with Gunnar Helm coming in.
No.
And for a new regime that didn't draft him, for Mike Berganzi, like there's no added loyalty to someone you invested draft capital in. And that is where I think anyone drafted on day 2 and 3 of the last 2 or 3 seasons is on notice, maybe more so now than they would have been otherwise if Rand Carthon and his staff was still here. That's, I think, the interesting part of it. Kevin Winston Jr. for me is my favorite pick. I think the value of what you got, Stoney Keeley, as Ramon has now called him, said with us an hour ago, he's probably a fringe first-round pick without the ACL. This is the kind of guy you want to find in the 3rd round. Someone who in year 1 is a role player, and I think by year 2 can be a starter, and maybe even by the end of year 1 can be a starter. And I like the value of this. I wish the Titans had been able to find a pass catcher on the opening, couple of 3 picks that they had. But we talked a lot at the end of this show on Friday about finding best available, particularly if you traded back in the 3rd round. I think Kevin Winston Jr. was the best player available for them to pick with that pick and pick 82 at that point. You talk about someone who fills a need by being a run defender in the secondary. The Titans needed more willing run defenders and tacklers beyond the first level. They did not have that. You also get the heir to Amani Hooker and Xavier Woods, who are older safeties. You got to get cheaper at that position because Amani Hooker's making a lot of money and Xavier Woods is a guy you signed in free agency who's making some money. So I think Kevin Winston Jr., if he hits, has the potential to be a long-time starter in the secondary. I don't worry about the ACL.
Not in today's world.
Week 2, I would worry more if he had recurring hamstrings than if he was coming off of an ACL, to be honest with you.
Well, and if he was expected to be day 1 starter, had to have all these things on his shoulder. He doesn't. I mean, you just explained why. There's guys right now in front of him. The long-term goal, which it's not just about drafting guys who are going to start this year. Yeah. There are guys that are drafted that will start this year. There are also guys that they see and they continue to say are what's the word I'm looking for? That we can develop.
Projectable.
Right? Projectable. Yeah. And I think this is the perfect example of that. In 2 years, you look back at this pick and you go, damn, that was a good pick, and that you got a ton of value.
No doubt about it. And I think you just get the natural looking tight end with to another guy, Gunnar Helm, 6'5", 240 plus. I mean, you got size now up front in a lot of different positions too. A guy that can help chip and then slip into the to the flat, so across the middle. That to me seems to be the theme of everything they've done offensively for this squad. Is have guys that have, to your point, Will, the playmaking ability. I see a lot of folks in our chat are saying like the speed has been added to this team too. Not just that, but healthy bodies. I know, of course, Winston is one of those. Kevin Winston Jr. is one of those guys that's coming with an ACL. But we're talking about 2025. Like that to me is almost just like an elbow shoulder or something. Like we don't worry about that as much anymore.
I thought it was interesting. You talk about the speed in the wide receiver room.
Elbow, shoulder, elbow surgery or shoulder surgery.
Oh, I didn't even realize.
What I should. No, y'all got to correct me on my words. It's just been thrown
We're
against
just
the
so
wall like
excited
that.
today.
Elbow, shoulder.
So excited.
Never
today.
mind.
Just talking. We're talking over our words.
Elbow, shoulders, crazy.
That's nuts.
I'm going to work that into the Bonnaroo band names, real or fake, when we do that segment this summer. Please welcome to the Bonnaroo Rising Star Band Stage, Elbow Shoulder.
Hey, if you can't laugh at yourself, what are we
Elbow,
doing here? That's on me.
shoulder. I didn't even catch it.
You was about to make a great point there, and I had to catch myself. Go ahead. Dude,
Mike Herndon put this out over the weekend and said, when is the last time the Titans had this many receivers who ran 4.44 or faster? This is pretty good. Chimray DK 4.34, Mason Kinsey 4.36, Van Jefferson 4.39, Tyler Lockett 4.4, Colton Dowell 4.4, Jaquan Jackson 4.42, James Prochet 4.42, Calvin Ridley 4.43, and then Alec Iomanner 4.44.
Not bad.
Your receiver room is significantly faster than it was a couple of years ago.
Speaking of Tyler Lockett, I freaking loved this. So as we were doing the interviews after every guy was drafted, because that's what we would do, I noticed like he was starting to tweet at every single guy. And he was literally watching and on his phone or computer, whatever it is, every single guy drafted immediately, tweeting at them, like saying, welcome to the team. And he did it for every single guy. I thought that was incredible for a guy who just joined the team last week, has already taken on that leadership role. That's going to be huge too offensively, not just, offensively, but in terms of the whole team.
Yeah, no doubt. Those are the types
I had to
of
add
things.
in that little thing.
It's
cool.
good to see that too, embracing whatever this is going to be in 2025. Most definitely. And it's just a lot of new steel. That's the other part of this process that has to be hashed out. I feel like last year we saw that kind of bite you in the butt with all the new and incorporation of new players. You want to see it more settled this year for sure.
The Titans drafted a lot of team captains from big contending college football programs. Yeah. Kevin Winston Jr., Khalil Mullings, Gunnar Helm. You get the smaller school traits and projectability in Slater, the guard out of Sacramento State. So you do get the best of both worlds within that as well. But it is clear that the Titans prioritized character and culture because this draft class is going to need to be the foundation for all the success that is to come. The free agents that you signed, the Calvin Ridleys of the world that you brought in the past couple of years, heck, even Zeitler. Kevin Zeitler, the right guard, is a culture setter for a year. But you need this draft class to be where it all starts. And guys, we're looking back in 2 to 3 years saying, wow, it kind of all started, the rebuild, with Cam Ward and the rest of those guys in 2025 who took ownership of being Tennessee Titans. And it's valuable, no doubt. You don't just draft guys because they're captains, but it's a good feather in their cap.
But that's what we spoke about earlier this offseason, too. We're the leaders. Remember, we're not far removed from having that conversation, especially on the offensive side of things. That's one thing we spoke about with the quarterbacks that you could have potentially signed in free agency. It's like, who's leading that side of the ball? Now you got them at every level right now. Tony Pollard, Tajay Spears back there, right? And even on the tight end side of things, the expectation that Chig and Josh Wiley got enough experience now to play their role in this. But Dan Moore's been one of those guys. You mentioned Zeitler, like they have that at every single level to where it's not just one person carrying the water.
I saw where Gunnar Helm said that Cam Ward called him to reach out to him before he'd even gotten off the phone with the Titans and Mike Bergonzi.
Yep.
Stop.
He said he couldn't talk to him right then.
Stop.
He texted him back. I'll talk to you. Yeah. Cam Ward was on it too, man.
He was.
Everybody he was on, welcoming him into the team.
Too high, too low on this? Like with how it's laid out? Because I feel like a little bit of last year in the offseason and the free agency the year before that too. And each time he was just like, yeah, this is gonna be this gonna be the year. I feel like this year with how this process is going, it's probably because it's not a whole lot of information getting out at times. You just feel, all right, we're settled.
It does feel different because everyone's admitting it's a rebuild now.
Yeah.
We called it.
Yeah, we're not like, oh gosh, they're going to win this many games.
Well, we were on that train coming out of training camp last year.
Last year, no, for sure. That's what I'm saying. Like,
right, we were wrong.
We were.
We felt like they had the chance to really compete in the AFC South last year.
We're not saying all those things this year because I think everybody's on the same page. Like, and Mike Borgonzi is the one who set the tone. He was like, look, we're rebuilding. Like, we're going to be, drafting guys that we think are developmental, that, we think have potential. And look, Cam Ward fits into that. Like, he's going to start, but he still is going to have to grow as the quarterback here.
Has to.
Did you guys see what KFC tweeted?
No.
I feel like I saw it. I don't remember, though.
Everybody's trying to get it on the Shedeur Sanders conversation. So Shedeur Sanders tweeted, "Thank you, God," which at the time of this screenshot had 208,000 likes and 12 million views over the weekend. KFC responds, "The Colonel was rejected 1,009 times before finally landing our famous original recipe. Sometimes all a Sanders needs is a little time to cook. Congrats, Shedeur."
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, see that one.
Sometimes all a Sanders needs is a little time to cook.
Hey, man.
Very creative.
Well done.
Everybody jumped in on that conversation. I'm talking about, wasn't a soul that didn't have a conversation about
I was getting
it.
group texts from my family.
Telling you.
Like,
For a second, I
where
was
is
just
he
like,
going?
Titans can do the craziest thing ever. Just go
know.
get him.
There are people saying
I
that.
saw it.
Oh, God. Taylor Lewan said it. I about unfollowed him.
Did he really?
Yeah. Yeah, he did.
He did.
By the way, I started
Any
watching
Titans
this
fan
new
saying
show.
that, like, what are we what are we doing?
Don't be a rest haven, okay?
He is an entertainer now.
Who
That's what he is.
It gets the people
He's
going.
an entertainer.
It gets the people going. Don't be a rest haven for every player that you thought of. Like, absolutely not.
I was getting text updates while on the draft while I was on air on Saturday afternoon. Just got a text of Shedeur to the Browns, and I double taked in a break.
Yeah.
And, all right, well, coming up, the women's 800 meters here. Coming up next. Just like, all right, let me just process that while
It's
I
like, wait,
introduce
is
this
it
next
April
race.
1st? What are we doing?
By the way, how many ways have we heard Shedeur's name be called wrong? I feel like, too. I've heard, what was it? Buck hung up on somebody, Shedeur.
Oh, Sheduri.
Sheduri.
Is what that caller said.
Shedeur, I've heard them all this weekend. It's pretty good. I ain't gonna lie to you. Well, people mess my name up like that, which is why I know it. I'm Raymond. Ramon. It's like weird.
You get a lot of people
Ramon.
put an E on your first name.
Yeah, the
Right.
spelling. of it.
RAMONE.
Yeah, I've heard MOAN. Ramon. Like, I've heard all of that. It's weird. Interesting. Here.
Interesting.
There.
Coming up, what is your biggest question mark about the Titans roster coming out of the NFL draft? 615-737-1045, ESPN.com, NFL Nation reporters have one big question out of the draft for every team in the NFL. We'll give you ours for the Titans next. Hey, it's Will Bowling. If you've been looking for cars and you see the words buy here, pay here, I'm here to tell you why one place is different. That's Nolensville Road Auto Mart. And they're different for a few simple reasons. They've been doing business in Nashville for 61 years. Nashville natives that only sell clean title cars under 12 grand. So if you're new to town and you need a place to trust, they've got you. Maybe you need that first car for the 16-year-old in your family, that new driver. Well, they can do that as well. And don't just take my word for it. Check out their Google reviews. Just look them up. Nolensville Road Auto Mart. It's saying something for a car dealership, just how positive so many of those reviews are. One location on Nolensville Road, close to Thompson Lane. They will get you in and out in an hour or less. And the best part, they're the oldest buy here, pay here in Nashville. Give them a call at 615-242-1279. They'll work with your own financing if you have it. Flexibility, transparency, honesty. That's why I recommend Nolensville Road Auto Mart. Call them at 615-242-1279. RKW 104.5 The Zone, wrapping up hour number 3 this morning. The Monday roast in a half hour, and the Titans' value of one undrafted player. We'll talk about coming up in 15 minutes. 615-737-1045. At ESPN.com this morning, a good exercise, asking ESPN's 32 NFL Nation reporters, what is the biggest post-draft question for your team? Ramon, what's your biggest question you have for the Titans right now?
I got a feeling you'll slide this way, too, a little bit more, but it's along the defensive line in general.
Oh, that was not the direction I was going to go.
It's not.
I think that is a relevant one.
Just because Femi Oladejo, how fast can you get him incorporated in the rotation, and what is this incorporation going to look like, too, as far as his production goes? And then, of course, too, I know there's a lot of needs, but where is the depth when it comes to the interior defensive line? Yes, Sebastian Joseph Day, T'Vondre Sweat, like they've got guys in house, right? But maybe this wasn't a draft for that one. Those are my two concerns, especially over 17 weeks.
Linebackers. Inside linebackers.
Sure.
It's not like they did anything. In
right
the
now, it'd be
with
Cody
that.
Barton and Cedric Gray would be your starters.
That's pretty much it. And even, beyond that, that's a lot to ask out of Cedric Gray, who was just starting to get in a groove with the NFL speed. Those were his words, not mine, last year. It took him a while. Then he had the shoulder injury. And he was, coming in to his own a little during this special teams evaluation of things at the end of the year. Other than that, you've got Otis Reese, and then more so developmental, James Williams. So I'm questioning, what exactly is going on in terms of starters there? Yeah. I just don't see it right now.
That's definitely a good question. So there are still some inside linebackers available on the free agent market, including the guy I think I would go offer a one-year deal is Eric Kendricks.
Mm-hmm.
Still out there. C.J. Mosley, still out there. Devondre Campbell from San Francisco, Juwan Bentley, some of those main guys who are available at the moment, but certainly a big question mark.
Yeah.
Chance Campbell's still floating out there at inside linebacker, coming off of another season-ending injury. So
that's tough.
Yep.
I think it's a valid one. I still think the number one question is, does Cam Ward have enough help? Did you get him enough help? I know you drafted 2 wide receivers on day 3. I like Alec Iomanner a lot. I like Chimere Dike's projectability and athleticism and what they can get for him. But I still am a little concerned about the cast of characters around Cam Ward catching the football. I like the offensive line. I really like the depth they're starting to put together on the offensive line. But I'm curious to see how impactful 2 day 3 wide receivers can be in year 1. Because the Titans need them to be impactful in year 1.
They do. And it's going to be more than anything, I'll say this to your point. Calvin, for sure, right? Having to be the highlight. Like
Calvin Ridley.
Calvin Ridley.
Wide receiver
like that to
no
me.
doubt about that this year. I
think is probably the biggest question going into the season. Can he justifiably be your guy? And if not, to your point, Will, is it one of these younger guys, Chimere Dike? Like, I'm not sure. I know that's asking a lot out of a guys that just got into the NFL. But looking at this group, too, I don't know if Treylon Burks is going to be healthy going into it, or if you find something out of Colton Dowell later. But to your point about the weapons, who's the threat that scares you on game day at this point? He's got to develop that the same way I feel like C.J. Stroud did with Nico Collins, because to ask that question 2 years ago, what was Nico Collins, respectfully? Mm-hmm. Right? A third-round pick that had some size, that had the ability to make plays for you. Now everybody knows his name. Can, to your same point, Cam Ward make a guy one of those dudes moving forward, though, too? Right. Like, who is it when it comes down to the next playmaker on the team? Van Jefferson. Did he get bumped out because of golly, I'm messing up his name. Chimere Dike. Yes. Did he get bumped out?
It'll be interesting. I'll tell you this much. This is what I do like. They've got 13 wide receivers in that room right now. I am all about competition. And wherever that might be. We've talked about it in the quarterback room before. I love the fact that they've brought in a variety of some veterans that you kind of expect some of these guys to be on the roster for that sole reason. Tyler Lockett, maybe Van Jefferson type of guy. But they've also brought in, with this draft, guys that could start day 1 or, might have to really earn their way on the roster in example, Xavier Restrepo, right?
Yeah.
And maybe he has a one-up with that instant kind of connection with Cam Ward. But what I do like is they've brought enough in to make it a true competition of really who stands out. And look, Treylon Burks is not going to have an easy time, but he's still in this room, and he's still going to have, I think, an opportunity to compete once training camp comes.
Yeah.
That's up to him then to get a spot.
Could be out there.
I like it, but I do get what you're saying, Will. There's not necessarily enough proven yet in terms of the talent, but I think that this is what this competition will help do.
Yeah, we'll talk about Restrepo more coming up in a minute and the signing the Titans made there. So let's say the Titans keep 7 wide receivers, the locks to make the roster, right?
Yeah.
Calvin Ridley, of course.
Mm-hmm.
Tyler Lockett, of course. You have Io Manor and DK, 3 and 4 locks to make the roster at that point. So essentially then you've got 3 more spots if you keep 7 for a number of players, including Bryce Oliver, James Prochet, Treylon Burks, Mason Kinsey, Jaquan Jackson, Colton Dowell, Tay Martin. Have I mentioned Bryce Oliver yet?
Yeah.
So you've got 5 or 6 guys maybe battling for 3 spots.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, right now you'd probably give the edge to Prochet as a special teamer, to Bryce Oliver as the guy who came in originally, and then we're going to talk about Restrepo more in a minute, but I mean, Van Jefferson also in that room.
Right.
So
exactly.
It's going to be hard for some of these guys to make the roster, and I'll be honest with you, it's going to be hard for Treylon Burks to make this team if he does not have a healthy, productive training camp from start to finish.
No lies there.
His biggest thing for me is if I was a vet around him, hey, little bro, go to IR again. Like, legitimately. Like, that's my message
To make the
him.
roster?
At this point, or go to PUP.
Or if you're going to be healthy, you better ball out.
You better ball out.
Yeah.
No, that's...
He's got to lock in.
Yeah, that sucks to say, but the business of him having a job and him getting better is to be on the roster at this point. And for him, he needs to be on PUP to start the season off if he's not healthy, to your point. He got to find a way to manipulate the system or ball the hell out.
And look, he could be that guy that, benefits from an environment change at some point if he does indeed not make this roster and maybe he had a decent camp. There's always going to be a team, especially that wants to pick up a former first rounder. I mean, that is what it is, guys. Just like quarterbacks, they'll give him a chance somewhere. So I don't think he's completely done in the NFL, even if he doesn't make this roster, but he's got to help himself at some point. And staying healthy is the first thing he has to be able to do.
Bobby has a question for Ramon on the phones this morning. Hey, Bobby.
Hey, remember, you said earlier this team needed a football player. Then why not Travis Hunter over Cam Ward? Not taking anything away from Cam, but Travis Hunter is an overall better football player. And I'll hang up and listen.
Thank you, Bobby.
I got 3 names for you. Give me 1 second. I had them all pulled up real here. Brandon Allen, Tim Boyle, Will Levis. That's why. I'm sorry to say, but that's why.
Exactly.
You
Who's
needed a
throwing to him?
quarterback. I'm with you on Travis Hunter being the guy, but
Sure.
where does Travis Hunter fit on this team if you ain't got nobody reliable to throw to him? That's just as simple as it get right there. This was a need situation, and you had the best guy available, number 1 overall in Cam Ward. And considering how other teams were clamoring to get him in the proposed trade, allegedly that the Giants gave, there's a lot of value in Cam Ward over Travis Hunter in this sense.
At some point, you have to fix the biggest hole, which is a quarterback. You didn't have one going into this draft, and part of that may have been they, couldn't sign Sam Darnold or whatever it might be. But there was no passing up if you had the number 1 overall pick, if you felt like this guy could truly be the guy. Yeah, a quarterback is always a gamble. But look at the characteristic parts of Cam Ward. Like, he can be the face of the franchise. He can be the biggest leader in the locker room. And you see all the skills that come along with that. To me, that's stupid if you pass up on that.
Coming up, the Titans signed an undrafted player who many of you are valuing more than some of the guys they did draft. We'll talk about Xavier Restrepo coming up next.
Two Rivers Ford announces employee pricing for everyone. Every tradesman, every dad, every rising star. You pay what we pay. Two Rivers Ford. Locally owned. American made.
Good morning. It's 9:01 from the 104.5 The Zone Studios. I'm Justin Hawkins. The 2025 NFL Draft is wrapped up, and the Tennessee Titans have their new rookie class, led by first overall pick Miami quarterback Cam Ward. The Titans made 8 selections between rounds 2 through 7 Friday and Saturday. Those selections, the Titans selected UCLA edge Oluwafemi Oladejo in the second round, Penn State safety Kevin Winston Jr. in the third, Florida wide receiver Chimere Dike, Texas tight end Gunnar Helm, and Stanford wide receiver Alec Ayumanor in the fourth. Sacramento State guard Jackson Slater went in the fifth, and Cal cornerback Marcus Harris, as well as Michigan running back Khalil Mullings, went in the sixth round to wrap up this year's rookie draft class. The Titans' work was not done, however, as immediately following the draft, they signed at least a reported 13 undrafted free agents to this point. One of those signings is Cam Ward's former teammate and wide receiver at Miami, Xavier Restrepo, who now get to reunite in the two-tone blue. And recent news coming out in the NFL, the Washington Commanders are returning home to D.C. after playing at Northwest Stadium in Maryland since 1997. The Commanders agreed to a deal to build a stadium in place of RFK Stadium, where the team had its greatest success from 1961 to 1996. The new stadium, according to multiple reports, is said to exceed $3 billion. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, you have to go to USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Nine a.m., hour 4 of RKW, brewed by Scooters Coffee, with locations in White House, Mount Juliet, Rivergate, Smyrna, and Brentwood. There is a player the Titans did not draft over the weekend, yet will have the expectation level of someone they did draft. On Friday, if you're listening to Cam Ward on 3HL, he said, when asked about who he wanted, or if he was talking to Mike Bergonzi about what he wanted in the draft, he said, my guy Restrepo. Well, Mike Bergonzi clearly was listening because he got Cam Ward, his favorite target in college. Miami wide receiver Xavier Restrepo signed as a UDFA yesterday by the team. What is your expectation level, guys, for one of Cam Ward's guys and potentially a third rookie wide receiver on this roster?
Somebody he's very familiar with. Somebody that's a possession guy, somebody that understands his role and what he's capable of. I'm not sure if the 4.8 is real because there's speculation that he had a hamstring issue. Don't go out there and run then, okay? But here's the other side of it. If he was just a bad tester or / not just a good combine tester, pro day tester, so be it. This type of stuff happens all the time when it comes down to guys making it in the NFL, right? Like, can you play football is the biggest answer. And what we do know about Xavier Restrepo is he's a guy that's played a whole lot. He's a guy that understands how to catch the football and know how to break guys down. Again, the draft pick is simply just a tip of the cap for your hard work, and hey, that somebody acknowledges you as a fellow undrafted free agent. You write your own history. That's why a little bit to me, the Shedeur conversation, hell, he was still a draft pick.
Yeah.
The opportunity is all you're asking for, and that's where Xavier Restrepo is. I myself tested bad, horrible. All right, it's out there. 5'5" and a 5'6" in the 40 is not a good time for a college tackle coming out. A wide receiver running the 4.8 at his size and build is not a good testament to what an NFL wide receiver is. Screw all of that. If you can play football and find the ability to get open, teams will find you and make the most out of it, man. So I'm rooting for him just on the basis of that. Maybe it was a mulligan he needed in his time, but he understands what the quarterback is looking for, and with all the types that they have drafted here as of late, it looks to fit his style. So whether he was a 247 pick or undrafted, he gets a shot.
This guy's a dog. Just everything about him describes kind of what Cam is. You know, hardworking, physical in terms of like being a wide receiver. At least he's going to do whatever it takes to get the job done. His journey, very different from Cam Ward's, though. He is a Florida guy, and he had dreams since he was a kid to go to Miami. He had a lot of schools that had offered him. He had offers from Georgia, Oregon, Boston College, Louisville. He was also getting looks, guys, by Ivy League schools because he had a 4.5 GPA coming out of high school, like the way that some of these, high schools now do their GPAs. But when you look at just his production this last year, I think that's where you take what you can see if you're a Titans, upper management and say, okay, this could work here because of how he was productive last year in the ACC. 1,127 receiving yards, 11 touchdowns. Cam Ward's target that he loved the most there. And I think, if anything, you're going to get two things. You're going to get the connection already with Cam Ward, but you're going to get a guy who is going to work for a roster spot. So you can say whatever you want about his time coming into this or the, speed of him, but what's going to matter in the end is, can he outlive all these other Titans wide receivers that are currently, in that room? I say he probably can.
His biggest hurdle he's got to get over is the two dudes drafted ahead of him and the fact that Tyler Lockett plays his spot.
Mm-hmm.
Looking at the numbers, unless, how many wide receivers you use? 8?
Seven or 8.
Yeah.
I mean, it just depends on the year. Like, if some of these guys can be gunners and special teams tacklers, then yeah, maybe we can talk about 8 or 9.
I don't know if Restrepo possesses special teams qualities either.
Yeah, that's
so
a good point.
We're talking about the
Jim Ray
business.
DK does.
You know what I'm saying? So we're talking about the business, like the 53.
Yeah.
Lockett did play a little more outside last year, though, for Seattle. I don't think Lockett is a total guy in the way of Restrepo. To me, though, it does feel like the Titans are going to value speed and the ability to take the top off the defense out of their slot, because Chimere Dike is that. He is a slot receiver at 6'1", who's a little bit bigger at that spot. He's not a gadget over the middle guy. He is someone who's going to stretch the defense. So right now, if you look at the roster battle again at wide receiver, I think it's going to be a fun summer watching this position group battle. You have 4 guys who are locks to make the team. The 2 you drafted, in Alec Iomanner and Chimere Dike, Calvin Ridley and Tyler Lockett. I think those are the only 4 locks to make the team right now, right?
Yeah.
I'd roll with.
And
you
is it
on
fair
that
to
one.
say the 2 guys you drafted are locks, right? Like, I feel like they have to be.
I think so.
Fourth round
too.
picks,
I
fourth
think
round
so.
picks, you're making the team.
Unless they just come in and bombs and
Or if
can't
you
learn
get
the
hurt,
offense.
like you just can't catch a pass, like barring something crazy.
Or get hurt.
Yeah.
So then I have got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 guys battling for probably 3 spots. So let's say, for the sake of conversation, Xavier Restrepo makes the team. That's 5 wide receivers. So then you are cutting somebody who has been established in this league or here. Traylon Burks, Van Jefferson, Mason Kinsey, Colton Dowell, Jaquan Jackson, Bryce Oliver, Tay Martin, James Prochet. To me now, Prochet is probably on the outside looking in.
I throw
Considering
Jaquan in there instantly,
I think
too.
Jackson's on the outside looking in.
Yep.
I think Bryce Oliver is on the inside looking out.
Yep.
If I had to guess right now, if you're keeping 7 receivers, my guess, and this is way too early to be doing roster projections, but let's just say for the sake of conversation, Ridley, Lockett, Iomanner, DK, Jefferson is 5, Bryce Oliver is 6, Xavier Restrepo is 7. I think Xavier Restrepo is going to make this team. I think he is a football player who is going to play better than he tests.
Part of me want to root for solely that Colton Dowell because of his size and his ability to play special teams. I look at him more of a Nick Westbrook-Akine type with what he can do outside of the offense. Now, that's the other side of it. Are you putting Van Jefferson on special teams?
Right.
And how big of a role offensively is Van Jefferson if those first 4 will hit, especially the young guys too? Like, the process of getting to what roles guys are playing throughout the course of the season is going to be very fascinating because Van didn't break the bank on his signing. You can toss that away in NFL money, right, more times than not. And where is his other availability to it? He's not that old. Van's 6-7 years in the league, though, too. But are you asking him with the roles that he's played to play special teams, too? Like, that's why it's so,
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
it's so hard in the NFL to really say, how do you build up a team? Because all of these guys, to your point, got friggin'
Right.
they got value.
And
They
I
do.
know, I know Bryce Oliver is a special teams guy through and
Yeah,
through, right? So that's why
absolutely.
I think he has a little bit of an edge too. And I think they liked his trajectory like at the end of the
Projectability.
season.
Yeah.
When
Yeah.
it came to him even as a receiver possibly. So
Last year on the initial 53-man roster, the Titans only kept 6 wide receivers. Those were DeAndre Hopkins, Calvin Ridley, Tyler Boyd, Nick Westbrook-Akine, Traylon Burks, and Jaquan Jackson.
Let's give it 7 just based off the fact that they had 5 tight ends.
That's what I was going to say. That was ridiculous last year. I'm sorry. I mean, they didn't need 5 the whole season.
We look at Prochet as a teamer.
Yeah.
Okay.
Here's Prochet's
his stat line ain't really showing.
He's not going to contribute much to your offense.
Hey, battle it out. This is a beautiful place to be at. I'll say my camp crush is going to end up being Colton Dow for whatever reason. Probably more of him stepping over Traylon. But again, I like the size. I like the speed. But there's a lot of different variations of what you're going to be asking guys to do, especially here's the other side. If Chick turns into more of a passing threat, too, or a catching threat for opposing defense.
I think the guy who's now on the clock with Restrepo coming in is Mason Kinsey.
For sure.
Easily.
100%.
Kinsey and Jaquan Jackson both have had replacements brought in, with DK being the Jackson replacement as a punt returner and fast slot, and Restrepo being the gadget, find a space. Although Kinsey's got a good 40, but Restrepo kind of takes that underneath route capability.
And there's a lot of newness here in terms of the quarterback, too. And if you already have kind of an instant connection with someone, that gives you a head start. Like, you got to still prove yourself.
Yeah.
But it does help you.
So, again, way too early to be doing roster projections. But
it's a little bit more fun.
I bring that up, though, just to say that although, yes, Xavier Restrepo is going to get a lot of love for this fan base, and rightfully so, I'm not blaming any of you, he still does have a little bit of an uphill battle to make this team, considering how crowded that room is. So if you're bringing him in, somebody who is probably expected to make the team is not being brought in. I tend to think at that position, at wide receiver, if you can get open and catch, you can get open and catch. Perfect. And Restrepo has proven he has that ability, especially in the red zone. So we'll see.
No doubt about
Be
it.
fun.
Cam Ward's going to be looking for him.
Yep.
Whether that's a good thing or a bad thing for the other guys in the roster. You need Cam Ward to give equal distribution and not overcorrect just to throw into his guy.
I know.
But again, that's why you have coaches. 615-737-1045. We complain about things in sports. The Monday Roast is next.
It's Ramon Foster for the Wellness Institute of Nashville. Man, I was just somewhere yesterday and saw actually one of my kids' trainer, man, with his back. I was just like, bro, what's going on with you? He's like, my back, my neck. And he's a former athlete himself. You know what I did? I sent him the Wellness Institute of Nashville's website. It's because I believe in it too, man, but also this part of it. They have 47% off non-surgical spinal decompression. And you're probably saying to yourself, well, Ramon, that's not going to work for me. Well, it worked for me. So much so that I'm going back on Wednesday, just in case you guys wonder. I also use and endorse them too, man. They are just good. Again, nobody wants to deal with that constant back pain, a nerve, just pain shooting down your legs, and it's fixable, is what I'm telling you. Dr. Mitchell and Dr. Ashley are good at what they do, especially with the non-surgical spinal decompression. They have one of the best state-of-the-art futuristic facilities around. I trust them with my body, and you need to trust them with yours, too. So start the rest of your year off with a pain-free life, and it is possible. Reaching out to the Wellness Institute of Nashville at 615-246-5009 or go to painisbad.com.
RKW on 104.5 The Zone in hour number 4 on this Monday. You can load up the phone lines to roast anyone in your life or in your sports life at 615-737-1045. It is Monday at 9:20, which means it is time for the Monday Roast. Six 615-737-1045 is the number. Who do you want to roast in the world of sports? Ramon Foster said earlier this morning he's got a lot of picks to choose from.
I do.
Yeah.
So why don't you take first? That way we all know what we can or can't use after you've already taken.
I don't want to take
dang,
y'all's.
yeah, I don't have that many.
Go ahead,
so.
Kayla.
All right,
You go
well,
first.
Kayla can go
First up.
first.
I was just going to be like, I might be out of them then. This is probably one you've already heard me talk about this past week because obviously the draft happened on Thursday, the first round of it, but I am passionate about it. So clearly, you know, when you're the number 1 overall pick, no matter what franchise you're going to, it being a big market, a small market, no matter what it is, you have worked hard for that moment. You should be the spotlight for that first overall pick. Everything from, you know, how they're describing you before the pick to the walk out where they're showing you walk out. And it was a long walk up there in Green Bay out to the stage, to the moment with Roger Goodell, to the interview afterward. That is the spotlight you should get as a number 1 overall pick. I don't care who the hell you are, even if you're a kicker and you got picked number 1. Unfortunately, while NFL Network and ABC streaming of it did a very good job of trying to do, you know, the breaking news at the same time, ESPN, where a lot of people tune in, because it is still ESPN, there's a lot of bars that have ESPN on, their broadcast did not do a great job of doing that. And it started from the breakdown of Cam Ward before the pick was even made. Y'all know Cam Ward is going to the Tennessee Titans. Don't try to, you know, bring in your, this is still a possibility that Shedeur Sanders could go here. We need to break down Sanders. Like, at that point, no, you did not need to do that. You could have shown some of the stuff with Cam Ward, the breakdown of Cam Ward. Instead, they did not do that, and Mel Kiper was a big part of that. But then when he was taken, they obviously showed him in the green room, but immediately breaking news happened with the Jacksonville Jaguars trading up to get Travis Hunter. And while you could have said, hey, we've got some breaking news concerning the Jags trading up, we'll get to that in just a moment. Instead, they took a half screen of Adam Schefter the entire time, the entire walkout of Cam, did not talk at all about Cam, and quickly showed the hug and embrace, but then went back to it. No interview on ESPN with Cam. I thought that it did a disjustice for the number 1 overall pick, no matter if it was Cam or anybody else. I know his dad, Calvin Ward, said he don't need the attention. He didn't care about it. That's fine. I care about it. It's my rant, and you're getting roasted this morning, ESPN.
Hey, now.
There you
Take
go.
that. Take
Take
that.
that.
Absolutely.
4 letters.
You got any other ones?
That'll be mine for right now, but I might add in one later.
Okay.
All right.
A worthy pursuit. A lot of Titans fans are nodding their heads in agreement with you
Okay.
this morning.
Yeah, 100%.
Justin, if we have the audio I put in our link a minute ago, I'll go ahead and take next. CBS Sunday Morning does a great job. It is a great long-form interview series. It tells stories. Bill Belichick was the interview subject on this Sunday's show on CBS, and the story was more what was not told on the broadcast, which was his girlfriend wanting very minimal details coming out about their relationship. This was CBS Sunday Morning yesterday.
Jordan was a constant presence during our interview.
You have Jordan right over there. Everybody in the world seems to be following this relationship. They've got an opinion about your private life. It's got nothing to do with them, but they're invested in it. How do you deal with that?
Never been too worried about what everybody else thinks. Just try to do what I feel like is best for me and what's right.
How did you guys meet?
Not talking about this.
No?
No.
It's a topic neither one of them is comfortable commenting on.
We're not talking about this. We're not talking about that. She is a lot. It's pretty fair to ask why a 40-year age gap is a thing and ask more about the story. And credit to the reporter, I think broached the topic pretty well. But Jordan Hudson is inserting herself quite a bit into Bill Belichick's life, into his professional world. Look, you love who you love. I'm not here to judge the off-field stuff, but when it makes its way onto the cameras and onto the coaching job that Bill is trying to do, I understand why NFL teams were not too interested in Bill. I understand why only North Carolina was really the team that was interested in Bill. Jordan Hudson, you're roasted.
Boom. Roasted.
Yeah, it's
roasted.
Jayhawk was getting a call right there. This is, that was weird.
Yeah, we're not talking about that.
She's inserting herself in everything. So, yeah I'm
that's my
sorry.
problem.
You're up for game. You're free game, woman.
It's
like, I'm sorry.
She's in the public eye now. That comes
Like,
with,
don't say that.
with the probably nice car, probably nice house. So that comes with the territory, the attention does.
She was on the field, too, the other day at practice.
No,
like,
that's what I'm saying.
Inserting herself.
I'm not roasting the relationship. I'm
No, I'm
roasting
not
how
either.
she's inserted herself into the public eye, but then wants to pick and choose what's publicly discussed. Yeah.
Because I know you can get sued for defamation. I refuse to say what I think about her publicly, okay?
My next roast goes to American Airlines, because American Airlines caused me to miss one of the most incredible performances in the history of Nashville Soccer Club over the weekend. Nashville SC beats Chicago Fire 7-2 on Saturday night in Geodis Park. I was not there because a crew was not available to pilot a perfectly able-bodied plane sitting about 50 feet from us in the Philadelphia airport. Coming back for the Penn Relays, I was there doing a broadcast to CBS Sports Network over the weekend. It's not even that there wasn't a crew. I get it. Like, things happen. My issue is the gate agent who comes with the intercom and says, hey, we have a 30-minute delay. The crew is on their way and will be here soon. Okay, be here soon. Well, there was another flight that was leaving 40 minutes from then at 7:10 at that point that I could have switched to that was still American. But I was like, oh, if the crew's on their way soon, then I'll just stay here. Yeah, an hour and a half later, the crew was still not there. Yet every 15 minutes, this gate agent was giving us updates. Yeah, the crew is on their way and will be here soon. No, they're not. Just tell me when they're going to be there. It is not that hard to be like, hey, look, they're on another flight. That flight is scheduled to land at this time. That is our plan. They just gave us every 10 minutes. They would say soon, soon, soon. Well, it wasn't soon. I could have gotten back for at least the second half. I could have still seen 4 goals that Nashville SC scored because they scored 5 in the first half and a couple late in the first half anyway. I am very upset with American Airlines because I missed a touchdown and an extra point in Geodis Park over the weekend. American Airlines, roasted.
Boom, roasted.
Yeah, buddy.
And I'm also going to roast FedEx Field, the worst stadium in the NFL. Did you guys see this?
Yeah.
There is now reason for it to no longer be the home of the Washington Commanders. Back to RFK. Mm-hmm. Go the Commanders, a $3 billion stadium proposal. And Northwest Stadium, as it is now called, it's FedEx Field, just like the Staples Center is not Crypto.com Arena. No longer will you have gates falling on players. No longer will you have rats running around the stadium, aside from the Cowboys fans who go there one time a year. But FedEx Field, no longer in existence in a couple of years. You're roasted.
Boom, roasted.
Bye-bye.
All right, here we go.
Bye. Okay.
Right.
Are you ready?
I'm going to be quick. First and foremost, got to roast myself and Samsung. I'm sitting around watching the draft, doing my thing, having a little moment of peace right there.
Sure.
TV goes black, goes out. Done. 2 years old. Look at the reviews. All of them. Boom. Roasted.
No.
Take that one, man.
Boom, roasted.
Yes, had to bow. Oh, God. I was so livid about it. I ain't going to lie. Samsung.
Okay,
I'm
sorry.
never buying them again. Never buying them
Still
again.
in warranty, maybe.
No, it's not. A year.
Damn.
Year warranty.
That's
They knew
tough.
exactly what they were doing.
I do it real quick because I'm sure a lot of people have this take too. Ole Miss and their issues on social media. With the girl a few years back that thought that was dating Lane Kiffin and his son, to now with Jax Albright also putting out Ulbrich. He needs a brick to the back of his head is what he needs, man, after leaking that number out like that. And then sitting in the background saying, he did it. No, you did it. Leave your dad iPad alone, you bum.
Yeah.
That's messed up right there, man. Cleveland Browns, 5 quarterbacks, really? And then the images of y'all drafting Shedeur, and y'all look like, yeah, you was forced. I ain't into conspiracy, nothing like that. But it looked like somebody said, hey, do it, and do it now.
owner.
Maybe the owner. Jim Haslam. Big Jim.
Yeah.
Another one that's super fun. These 100 dudes that claim they can win against a gorilla, stop.
Wait,
you
hold
need to
on.
go
You're
into
gonna need
detail.
you're gonna need more context.
You
on
hadn't
this one.
seen there's a word in it, so I won't go there. But there's 100 dudes beating up a gorilla. They think it's possible.
What?
I don't think you understand nature like that, okay? I don't think you understand nature. He will grab you and rip your face off. The chimpanzees are way smaller.
yeah.
Do you understand the density of their muscles?
Not good.
Donkey Kong, the game, is like this for a reason, okay? Absolutely not. Boom, roasted you 100 dudes.
Boom, roasted.
It's been going on all
So
weekend.
there's a Twitter argument that 100 men could beat a gorilla
Yeah.
in a fight.
In a fight.
Yeah, there's a lot of delusional people on social media.
Run up and get done up.
Goodness.
I trust
not
men.
watch
I
the
trust
boys.
human race. Not on this one. Who's going to be the first one to die is what I ask you.
Maybe like 1,000 men, but like even still, I
Yeah.
think you just got a bunch of dudes just getting punted by a gorilla.
Yeah, who's the first one? That's the first thing we got to get by. Also, Abdul Carter, create your own legacy. I love the way you approach things. Lawrence Taylor's by far the best. I would read off all his accolades. Ain't no reason to. Lawrence LT. All you got to say, one of the two, both of them Hall of Famers. Figure that out. Asking for his number. Boom, roasted. Get out of here.
Boom, roasted.
And Lawrence Taylor, unlike Warren Moon, said no.
Exactly.
Turned him down.
Yeah.
Crazy. And then my last one goes out to the New England Patriots Twitter.
Oh,
They
what they do?
posted and deleted a tweet that said, a minor when Mr. Irrelevant Memphis prospect Kobe Minor was drafted.
Oh, no.
Stop.
Kendrick Lamar quote.
Yeah.
Oh,
I was
that's
trying
tough.
to be cute was not appropriate for Kobe Minor right there. So that's my list of not of boom roasted this morning, man. The morning roast.
I like
Boom,
it.
roasted.
Told you I had a
list.
lot.
All right, Justin, what you got?
Good list.
All right, go ahead.
All right, we'll go to the phones. We'll have Justin back clean up.
Justin's like, I got him all
After we
taken.
go to the phones, Ryan is first up. Hey, Ryan.
What's up, guys? How are y'all this morning?
Good morning.
Good. So mine comes from the Music City Marathon over this weekend. And what I saw is some woo girls, what we like to call them, woo girls on the scooters, coming down the hill as runners are running and stop in the middle of the road where all these runners are running down, and runners are having to go around them like, know your area. Like, no, that right there is absolutely terrible. And I'll hang up and listen. You guys have a great rest of the week.
Wow.
Yeah.
Boom, roasted.
Thanks, Ryan.
I
Oh,
hadn't seen that.
God. If it's not the draft, they're
The woo girls. Drafting
coming
woo
in on the
girls. I'm
marathon.
telling you. Beautiful weekend this weekend, too. So I'm
Yeah.
sure they were in droves.
yeah.
That's crazy. No, yeah, don't get in our way. We're
get
working hard
out.
enough as it is. And I've never run a marathon.
You haven't, but you run a lot, though.
Well, I ran a half every Monday at practice in school, but we never ran a full one.
I ran a half marathon. If anyone were in my way at that point, depending on where it was in the race, but especially like 5-6 miles in, I'd probably run right over them. You get delusional at some point too, you know?
Nuts.
I'm
man.
still delusional from how much.
That's bad.
Eric up
Get out the
next,
way.
615-737-1045. Good morning, Eric.
Hey, good morning.
Morning.
There?
What you got
I
first?
was-
Yeah.
Eric,
up,
we was
Eric?
about to roast
I
you.
didn't know
Go
you-
ahead. Yeah, you're live.
Mine is Atlanta leaking Shedeur's number partially, but the biggest part is we're thinking this is a kid. You know, you're like, this kid's going to be kids. Then we see that it's actually a grown man doing this. I mean, both sides need to be better, especially as a grown man. He knows right from wrong, and he's literally took away Sanders' moment right then and there. I mean, that's just brutal.
Yep. I'm with you on that one. That
Yeah,
was
thank you, Eric.
tough. That's
Appreciate the call.
tough.
The Jack Solbrick situation, if you missed it, the son of the Falcons defensive coordinator found Shedeur Sanders' new number. Like, Shedeur literally got a new phone number leading up to the draft and took it off of his dad's iPad that was sitting open in his house. And they prank called Shedeur Sanders as Mickey Loomis of the Saints, saying, you've had a long wait, haven't you? Well, you're going to have to wait longer. What a loser.
Boom, roasted.
I mean, why do we as humans take delight
Stupid.
in ruining other people's days and moments? Just so much in life. Like, what? Why do we try to just get in people's heads and be like this as a society? It's completely ridiculous. There's nothing funny about it. It is a loser move. And this happens apparently now commonly. Tyler Warren got the same call.
Yeah.
Isaiah Bond apparently got a similar call. Last year,
Deion
Cooper
Sanders.
DeJean got a call. Like, what are we doing?
That sucks.
I thought that was
kid
just
is
Completely ridiculous.
And I'm with the caller, right? We're not talking about kids. These are grown men.
Yeah.
I'd understand if he was 15, 16 years old. Oh,
and even
yeah.
dumber, taking a video of it and posting it, like,
it's dumb.
the internet will find you.
Can't wait to.
Easily find you. Yeah.
Do they not understand also the NFL is connected? Will have
Right.
very
Yeah,
strong
it's
connections with the
Absolutely
FBI?
insane.
If I was his dad, I'd be whooping his you know what.
Yeah, he ain't. He
I will
won't.
whoop his you know what.
He can't and he won't. That is
Crazy.
That sucks.
Bad.
That sucks.
Justin, what you got for us? Monday roast.
All right, let's go to Mel Kiper. Let's just let's
there we
rip
go.
the
Thank
Band-Aid
you.
off. I know Nathan's going to talk about it as well, but I just want to hit a couple points real quick. He's so disgusted over the weekend about the lack of teams wanting to draft Shedeur Sanders. His really love affair is what we'll call it. So I'm going to play this real quick.
And Shedeur Sanders, all I can say is I think it's disgusting. I don't understand what the heck's going on with this. Fifth player on my board. It's never happened before in 47 years where a player that high has dropped this far into the fourth round at quarterback. It's sitting there in round 4 with other quarterbacks being taken who aren't as good as Shedeur, aren't even close, in my opinion, in terms of accuracy, toughness. Arm strength is certainly more than good enough. I don't see, outside of not being have the rocket arm and the 4.6 speed and the big frame, the 6'3", 230-pound frame, what is he lacking? Somebody's going to have to explain that one to me. 4th round, Kirk Cousins went. 4th round, Dak Prescott went. Worked out pretty good for them. It's just that Shedeur was projected a lot higher than they were. That's why we're having this discussion.
Let's have a discussion with Mel Kiper. I'm disgusted with him. Okay, 3 days, and he's not being drafted. There's a reason why he's not being drafted. Let it go. Okay, yes, he had Shedeur Sanders as his number 1 quarterback, and he didn't have Cam Ward as high, and that's fine. The coverage, we know it, like Kayla said, the coverage of Shedeur was much higher, and just the whole drama around it. But also, I want to give Mel Kiper a roast for his draft grades. You know, we talked a little bit earlier, we don't care for draft grades, but guess who's the only team in the NFL that Mel Kiper gave an A+?
Yep.
Yeah, Cleveland Browns.
Cleveland Browns.
So here it is.
Yeah.
So we'll just kind of skip a lot of it. But the other main reason I gave the Browns an A+ should not be a surprise. They got quarterback Shedeur Sanders at number 144 to finish their 7-pick draft. He was my number 5 overall prospect in the class and a clear QB1. He brings excellent accuracy, completing 70% of his throws. He brings toughness in the pocket. I'm just disgusted with the amount of coverage and the really love fest that Mel Kiper had with Shedeur Sanders, and he just could not let it go the whole weekend.
Boom, roasted.
Yep.
I think one more thing to add to that, he was so mad that his draft, analysis was blown up. And I think that's the one part he got the most mad about is, how dare all these teams screw up my draft, for Shedeur being in the first round. He was so mad about it.
It was crazy. His exchange with Reese Davis put him in his place.
Yeah, he did.
He said the draft. Oh, yeah, wait, man, we can play that in the next segment. Mel Kiper was talking about, the NFL's been terrible at evaluating quarterbacks for years. And Reese said, you yelling about it's not going to change it because the draft has spoken. Mm-hmm. And it is what it is.
Yeah.
Let's go next to Nathan with a Monday roast. Stay, Nathan.
Hey, you guys hear me?
Yeah, we got you.
So he already took it from me, but it was definitely Mel Kiper. That was honestly embarrassing. And if I'm ESPN, I can think of a couple people that probably need to get knocked off the payroll. Mel Kiper's probably at the top of that list. That whole exchange on national television for everybody to see, if you're high up at ESPN, what are you doing? That was embarrassing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And to make Reese Davis mad like he did, I've never seen Reese Davis get mad like that on television, and he was pissed. So the 32 teams spoke, Mel. Shedeur Sanders is obviously not that guy. I know the hype, and because of Dion, and because ESPN, and Stephen A, and ESPN loves to give Shedeur all the hype. He's just not that great. So you got roasted, Mel.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Nathan. I appreciate the call. I agree with you on it being a bad look. I do not agree on how ESPN will feel about it. I think ESPN loves it.
I do too.
Totally loves it. And look, Mel is the godfather of this entire industry.
Yep.
Mel is the one who created the draft publication that started, year-round draft coverage on ESPN. The guy created this entire industry. And by all accounts, is a pretty good guy to work with. He ain't going anywhere until he's ready to hang it up.
But I do like the point that, he made about Reese. It takes a lot. I've never seen Reese.
Yeah,
he's such a pro, man. For him to get that mad, it definitely probably irked a lot of people up there, too, with ESPN.
Mel Kiper still has credibility.
Yeah.
And the entertainment value of what he was able to give. Many of us, I watched more ESPN than I otherwise would have to see how much he would fall apart. ESPN loves that stuff, as they should. I mean, it's good television, even though I think Mel comes out of it looking not as good as he was going into it. But it's a good television product, no doubt. No doubt.
I think as much as his hairline is already receding, probably a little bit more, fella.
Hey, he can't help that.
Mel.
Look, he got to blame his mama brothers.
He could go to
Dude, that was a lot of stress coming over the airways over the weekend.
He could go to We Grow Hair.
Coming up, rapid fire on the
Works for
phone,
me.
615-737-1045. More of your Monday roasts next.
If you're often feeling tired, lacking motivation and drive, or gaining weight, or noticing a loss of muscle mass, these could all be signs of low testosterone. Listen to me. Don't wait. Go ahead and find out. At Low T Center, they make it easy to get your levels checked, and it's just a simple test, too. And with their own light lab, you'll get your results back right there. Low T Center is not a typical doctor's office either. The physicians specialize in treating low T with testosterone replacement therapy, or TRT, for each patient. The experts at Low T Center have over a decade of experience helping patients, and super important here, the personal treatment plans are optimized for each patient. These aren't just basic standard treatments. For your current patients also, Low T is offering you a $150 referral credit for each new patient that you refer. And at Low T Center, you can also get your health evaluated too with treatment with prescription GLP-1 weight loss medication. So get back to your best. Go to lowtcenter.com to book your appointment today. That's lowtcenter.com. Low T Center, reinventing men's healthcare.
Wrapping up the show on this Monday morning edition of RKW, the Buck Rising Show on deck. As we go rapid fire on the phone line, 615-737-1045, continuing the Monday roast. Marcus, first up. Go ahead.
Man, I'm tired of Medicare calling me with this A, B, and C. I'm tired of it. Why can't everybody have the same insurance? Why I got to be in a certain area to get the C or the D or the A? I just think it's racist. I don't know.
What?
Medicare,
Okay.
you can kiss my butt.
Boom, roasted.
Go off.
Jeez, Marcus.
Hey, Marcus, it ain't just you. I've been having some major issues with insurance stuff lately. I spent the whole day on Friday doing that,
Trying
so
to
I'm
parse
with you,
through
man.
some stuff. Ooh,
Boom. Roasted.
Marcus, that's tough.
I get it, man.
John, up next. Go ahead, John.
Hey guys, I gotta add to Ramones. Y'all ever watch Planet of the Apes? And then for another one, man. Shoot, I lost. Oh, Mel Kiper, man. Do you not remember what he said about Will Levis?
Yeah.
He's losing his mind, man. He's losing it. You got to get back on the right track.
And hair.
Yes, indeed. I didn't realize Mel was losing it like that. I'm going to take a picture of him.
Clearly.
Go ahead and take that
I
Photoshop
realized he was
there.
losing it.
Can I add a Monday roast?
Yes,
Yeah.
please.
I'm going to go to our Twitter mentions and add a Monday roast because now two people are angry at our show for discussing Shedeur Sanders. Titans homer and Bizarro PK, both saying, ugh, you two? Wasn't there a quarterback taken first overall? Guys, we're not doing our jobs if we don't at least mention
Come on.
the story in the NFL. And we are always going to make mention the biggest headline of the NFL. And it was 10 minutes in a 4-hour show. You're going to be all right. It's going to be okay. We're not going to spend an hour on it like I'm sure First Take is right now or any other national radio show, but we are not doing our jobs if we do not cover the biggest topic in the biggest league in the United States of America, of which you have one of 32 teams.
Yeah.
If you cannot wrap your head around that, then I can't help you.
Boom. Roasted.
Cannot help you. 10 minutes out of a 4-hour show.
It's not much, guys.
Crazy.
We got to hit on those things.
Yeah, I'm glad you roasted him real quick.
Joseph is next. Hey, Joseph.
Hey, guys. How's it going?
Good morning.
All right. So we were talking about people who are obsessed with Shedeur Sanders. I don't know if you guys are paying attention to Skip Bayless on his Twitter account.
Yep.
So he was obsessed over Shedeur not being taken #1 overall by Tennessee.
Yeah.
And he's notorious for having his account blow up in his face. And one that's in particular for me is Houston will not ever live down the day that they don't take Johnny Manziel. They knew he was not exactly the best pick, but it surprises me that he has a job left in the NFL. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Appreciate it.
Roasted.
He honestly doesn't.
Nah, he's off air.
Skip is not even on a show.
No.
He's just tweeting.
And he
Shannon,
tweets
too.
in bold.
He
like
took-
to
he
make
took-
it worse.
Took time out of talking Vandy and LeBron to talk about the Titans for one tweet. Honestly, I've never felt better about Cam Ward than seeing Skip Bayless say it was a bad pick.
That's how you know.
That's how you know the
That's how
Titans
you
did
know.
the right thing.
That's how you know
That's
right
what
there.
that's what won me over on Cam Ward was Skip Bayless not liking it.
I've gone to his account real quick just to see because I don't follow him like that. All I see is LeBron, Lakers, Cowboys. That's it.
Oh, yeah. He knows what he's doing.
I don't see anything else on his timeline. LeBron, Lakers, and Cowboys. There's a sprinkle of the Eagles in there.
Jeff gets the final call this morning. Hey, Jeff.
How y'all doing?
Great.
Good morning.
So, man, I live down here where Cam Ward went to high school and everything, man. And that dude, I'm telling you, we got a dog. That kid, that school that he went to, that is the tune-up school for all the local schools. The fact that he made it out of there is amazing.
Good stuff.
Yeah, good stuff.
Thank you, Jeff. Appreciate the call.
Surrounded by a great family. His whole family was there in the presser on Monday. His mom, his
Who's
girlfriend,
this?
his sisters.
Cam Ward's family.
Cam Ward's fam. But he was just talking about getting out of that high school and, getting to the next level as much as it took steps to get there.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. His pathway is what dreams are made of, man.
Yeah, for sure.
Definitely.
Definitely is. Cool to see Warren Moon giving him the #1 jersey.
It's pretty awesome.
Do you see the nugget that Sam Phelan dropped, by the way, that Warren Moon said that the Titans are potentially getting new jerseys soon anyway?
Saw that.
He said something too soon?
I think he might have dropped a nugget
Yeah.
that wasn't supposed to be dropped yet. I don't have any inside knowledge of that. But when they did take away the Oilers jerseys, our immediate speculation was, I wonder if this means they're going to totally rebrand going into the new building. Something to monitor.
Logo remains the same or what?
I would
I
imagine
don't know. He didn't go into detail, but when we were in the scrum with him,
Yeah.
he was like, I thought about the reason why I thought about it being like an okay thing is because A, we were the Oilers, this is the Titans, but kind of, I think, alluded to the fact that, hey, there's something new on the way.
Sam Fail is one that tweeted it. He said, Warren Moon just indicated to me that the Oilers uniforms may never return for the Titans. Said it factored into his decision to allow Cam to wear one, like Kayla said. Moon said the Titans will have new uniforms coming out soon, and there will be no reason to bring back Oilers uniforms. What I think, again, I don't know anything behind the scenes on this. My guess is you're going to see red implemented more and light blue implemented more. And it's going to be a blend of Titans branding and Oilers branding just forever.
Blended.
Just
We'll see.
switch the font.
I think
That's
that
all
would be
agree.
excellent. The season ticket gift last year, many people made the point that crew neck sweatshirt that was given out was light blue and red. It was a red TriStar and light blue Tennessee Titans. Wouldn't hate it.
Interesting.
Wouldn't hate it at all.
Yep.
That is your Monday morning. Coming up next, the Buck Rising Show has you covered with much, much more. Cover 2, Blaine and Zach, plus 3HL. A great day to be locked in, as always. And hit the subscribe button while you're there if you're watching on 104.5 The Zone TV.
Hey, but good people, you must remember at all times, your Twitter fingers and your mic is always hot.